You can measure the size of an elephant. You can clock the speed of a cheetah, but you can't quantify the heart of a kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome to Dr. Boxing Talk. Stream starts now.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
All right. Y'all know what time it is, man. The doctor's in the house. Let's get right. Make sure I fix my YouTube count. My bad. I was doing something. I had to do something with my dogs real quick. It's still my fault that I'm late, but it's because I was tending to them. All right, let's get it, man. Oh, my green screen off. Hold on. Green screen all discombobulated. Let me go. What the heck? All right, there we go. So we good now, man. Hopefully everybody having a good moaning. Get it in while you're yawning. You know, as always, we gotta start off with a prayer, man. So please join me in that. Bow your heads. Let's get right to it. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for waking us up to see the brightness of another wonderful, beautiful day. Lord, please let us leave all our worries and our burdens in yesterday and bring all of our faith and our courage and our strength into today. And that doesn't mean that forgetting our worries and our burden and our stresses, that we forget our responsibilities and forego our goals or ignore our ambitions. It just means that, you know, we attack them and we approach them and we pursue our goals and ambitions with faith, with strength, with courage, with belief, and with know-how, with knowing that we're gonna conquer it, because stress and worry does not solve anything. You know, negative energy does not solve anything, but positive energy makes every situation better than having negative energy does, Lord. So as long as we have faith in you, no matter what we're going through, no matter all the doubts that we have, no matter all the failures that we may have, or the terrible things we may run into, having faith in you and being positive will allow us to overcome, through Jesus' name. Amen. 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 So let's get it. All right. So today, man, we have I was reading some things. You know, yesterday we dropped the news, of course. Yesterday we dropped the news of Devin Haney, right? Devin Haney returning and potentially even returning this year, you know, in November or December. Now with an opponent, unbeknownst to us, they haven't selected an official opponent, but there have been some rumors in regards to that too. There've been some rumors for. Yesterday we dropped the news. There've been some rumors for Esau Pitbull Cruz, despite coming off of a loss and losing his belt at 140. There's been some rumors that Liam Paro, who just came off of a stupendous victory, you know, potentially upset of the year type victory against Subriel Matias. There's also this is all at 140, right? There's been I heard rumblings of a mega fight between him and Teofimo, which I don't think is appropriate. I think that was the weakest claim of it all. But you know, so there's been a lot of also talk of him going up to 147 and potentially fighting Mario Barrios, Stanionis, even Boots. You know, is that going to happen? Which scenario do I think is most likely to happen? I think the scenario that's most likely to happen is probably one more fight at 140. And maybe against Esau Pitbull Cruz in the Riyadh season with Big Turki Alalshikh. But I'm not certain either, though. You know, we got to see how it goes. But anyway, regardless of who he fights, you know, I've been seeing some people say, we're reading some articles and some talking heads say he's only returning so soon for the money. You know, so you know, I just think it's funny. Is like the person who was the victim of somebody else cheating seems like he's getting the most. Once again, he seems like he's getting the most negative energy pushed towards him. You know, and I'm like I said, once again, I'm not the biggest Devin Haney fan, but what's right is right, wrong is wrong. So I've seen people say, oh, well, he's only coming back for the money. Oh, well, he can't fight Pitbull because he's taking advantage of Pitbull. Pitbull is just a champion, bro. We were just talking about how great Pitbull is, but now that he lost against Rayo, and now all of a sudden he's a weak opponent for Devin Haney returning after his last fight with Ryan Garcia. You know, I just think that's funny and hypocritical. And then the one that I thought was the most intriguing was that they're accusing him of only coming back for the money, right? As if that's some sort of bad thing. I'm like, well, duh, don't you work for money? Don't you go to your job for money? Don't you do whatever you do for money? I'm not saying you only do it for money. I'm not saying you solely do it for money, but that's part of the equation, right? When you pay your bills, what currency do you use? Do you use your heart? Do you use water? Do you use grass as your currency, or do you use money? You use money as your currency to pay your bills, to put gas in your vehicle, to buy the things you like, to put food on your table. You use money as a currency. So just because they have a lot of athletes or entertainers or whoever you're fond of or look up to or whatever you want to call it, just because they have an occupation that is lucrative, you know, it gives them a lot of money, doesn't mean that you don't want to make the most of it. You know, I mean, that's what you work for, that's what you bleed for, that's what you sweat for, that's what you dream for, that's what you dream of. You know what I'm saying? That's, like I said, it shouldn't be your only motivation, but it is part of the equation. You know, so I think when people demonize the fact that these fighters fight for money, and it seems like it's only the darker complexion ones, it's like, what do you mean you fight for money? You know, that's part of it. That's why Canelo's a face of boxing. Everything he does is for money, right? And you know, he gets some flack for it too, but it's like that's what they do. You know, Lomachenko turned down Tank even though he was offered a lot of money. I bet you if it was the right amount of money, he would have never turned it down. Meaning that money is a motivating factor. You see? And then what did they say about Usyk and Tyson Fury? They said that fight happened because the money was right. You know, and their Big Turki Alalshikh, they say all of his fights happen because he's the one that's fronting the money. So they say that Oscar De La Hoya, who's his promoter, is working with him in the partnership because of the money. Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, they did the 5v5, which was a innovative and pioneer event, the first of its kind. You know what I'm saying? Why did they work together? You think it's just because they suddenly became friends? They had a common friend in Turki Alalshikh, and he facilitated reconciliations between Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn's father, because you know that's where the beef started. No, it's because of money. That's why they work together. But we don't talk about money then. But now Devin Haney's coming back to fight, which he's always been a fighter. He's doing it solely for the money, like it's a bad thing. Like what are you talking about, man? what are we talking about, man? So of course money is going to be a part of the equation. You show me. You think Bob Arum formulated a partnership with Top Rank and Turki Alalshikh in Riyadh season because the kindness of his heart, the goodness of the sport? No, it's for the money. So even when people say like, oh, you should prioritize the belts, what do you think the belts are there for? The belts themselves are making money. When people say, oh, you should fight for the belt, you fight for the belt. That's the most important thing. The WBC belt? Last time I checked, the champion gets a fee for having the belt. Last time I checked, the mandatories pay a fee to be considered the mandatory. Oh, the WBO belt, you pay a fee too. Oh, the WBC belt, you pay a sanctioning fee too. WBA belt, you pay a sanctioning fee too. IBF, you pay a sanctioning fee too. So if money doesn't matter, then why are we paying fees? Why are the champions paying fees? If it's all about just being a championship, if it's all about just being a champion and having a championship belt, right? Why is there a fee associated with it? Okay, yeah, let's talk about the whole equation. The only one there's no fee is the Ring Magazine belt. Well, let me rephrase that. The only one that there's a fee that I don't know of is the Ring Magazine belt. I mean, I don't think there's a fee, but you never know. This is boxing. There might be some deals behind the scenes where they have to pay to be nominated in the rankings. I don't know. But from what I do, from where I'm sitting, I don't think there's a fee associated with the Ring Magazine belt. You know, in fact, you get the Ring Magazine belt by the #1 guy and the #2 guy fighting, and the winner gets a Ring Magazine belt, from my understanding, something like that. So, if you want these fighters to be champions and pursue a legacy and not consider money, then ask the sanctioning bodies why do they charge a fee? No, okay. I mean, these are things that I just want to know. I'm just curious, you know, because we're so quick to say if fighters fight for money, and you know, like it's a bad thing, like you don't go to Taco Bell or wherever your job is for money. So I'm not saying that should be the only motivation. I'm not saying that should be the primary motivation. I'm not saying that should be the sole motivation, but it is part of considerations, man, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now we'll see how it goes. You know, if you're fighting only for money, then you probably will get knocked off by somebody who has a little deeper motivation. You know, fighting for their pride, fighting for their dreams, fighting to make a better way for their family through money. You know, so fighting for other things besides money, fighting to make a legacy or trailblaze a path for others to look forward to and look up to. But yeah, so you know, when you say that you want to make a better way for your family, most likely it's through. I mean, it sounds good. It sounds better than I'm just fighting for money, but that's what you're talking about. You're talking about establishing wealth, you know, and usually there's other forms of wealth besides financial wealth, but a lot of times when you talk about working and establishing or carving a way for your family, you're talking about via money. My boy Mike in the building. What's good, brethren? So I just think that we people just need to stop being ridiculous and acknowledge that people work for money. I mean, I don't know what kind of utopian idealistic society that they live in, but the one that I live in, if I don't have money, then I can't pay my bills. If I don't have money, then I can't drive my car. If I don't have money, then I can't put food in my I can't eat, you know, so I can't put clothes on my back. So I mean, I don't know what kind of I need to go to their world where money doesn't matter, you know. It's just life, you know. Now, if you, I don't want to be, I never want to be a person that's sole motivation is money, because that's what you do to evil things, you know. But to acknowledge that money doesn't make things better. Money is a resource. If you use money as a resource and treat it as such, and not as the thing that rules you, then there's nothing wrong with pursuit of money or any other resource. Yeah, so I don't understand it, Mike. But yeah, so that's it with the Devin Haney stuff, though. I look forward to him coming back. But I was just last night I was just looking at people talking about the situation, and everything was, oh, he's doing it for money. And then even this morning, oh, he's just coming back for money, and he's just going with Big Turk because the opportunity for money. That's what everybody. That's why Usyk and Tyson Fury fought, was because of money. That's the reason why we got the first undisputed heavyweight in 25 years, in a quarter century, because of money. Because the different promoters couldn't get together and have and settle their dispute and their differences and negotiate the appropriate amount of money that they felt they deserved. That's why we didn't get Better Bivol. We haven't gotten Better Bivol yet, because of money. That's why Oscar doesn't work with Eddie Hearn, because of money. Eddie Hearn doesn't work with Al Heyman because of money. Al Heyman doesn't work with Frank Warren because of money. Frank Warren doesn't work with Bob Arum because of money. So when people say that, oh, these guys fighting for money, like it's something that you should demonize, then I mean, it just shows that these people are unrealistic, and you shouldn't trust what they say, because they are irrational, illogical, ignorant, and incompetent human beings. Because I guarantee you, whatever they're doing, whether they're doing content creation or whether they're doing janitorial services at the local high school, or whether they're driving an Uber, they're doing it for the money. So, but you don't want people to work for money, even though that's what you do. Even when they have their crazy takes, they do it for the like and the attention, aka, and hope that translates to money. So when they come out and they say they're ridiculous behind takes for shock value, they're doing it for money, because a lot of times they don't really feel like that, but they doing it. So I'm just saying, man. So but yeah, man, so, that's all I want to talk about, the Devin Haney situation. I'm excited to see who he fights. I'm excited to see how well he could do. Like I said, he has a tough road ahead of him. I'll be rooting for him, but I just don't think that he'll overcome. Not that I don't think that he'll overcome the situation he's in. I just, like I said, this is coming from somebody who never really thought that he was as good as he was portrayed to be. So I always thought that somebody would beat him eventually. Like I said, I bet money on Ryan Garcia to beat him, and we saw what transpired. You know, I just didn't anticipate that Ryan Garcia would be a POS and cheat. But yeah, so I think that any time if Devin Haney fights a high caliber opponent, which he did beat Lomachenko, was a high caliber opponent, but let's say he fights Gervonta Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, Liam Paro, go up to 147, fight Jerron Boots Ennis. I think he'll probably beat Brian Norman Jr. right now, if he gets him right now, because Brian Norman Jr. is still green. But I don't know, though. You know, I think that'd be a good fight. I think Stanionis is a good fight. I think Barros is a good fight. But the first five that I named, I think they all beat him. And that's not a knock either. Those are all great fighters, or we think that they're great fighters, right? So it's not necessarily a knock. I just think that I think he's a good fighter. I just don't know how great Devin Haney is. But yeah, so let's get to these rankings, though, man. Speaking of how great people are, I want to talk about these rankings from the Ring Magazine, man. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen. I wanted to talk about these and see what y'all think about it, man. Bum Buskers, what's good, Teddy in the building. All right, so let's check this out, man. Let's see. Oh man, thank you. You just reminded me, Teddy. Let me see. I forgot to put this in the chat. post. Let me pin this. I always forget to do this, man. I need to do this at the beginning of the stream. I always forget though. All right, so yeah, I want to talk about the 154 pound rankings. I made a video about this yesterday, and I'm gonna pull it up on the screen. If we can't see it on this screen, then I'm just gonna make it larger. Yeah, it's kind of small. That one's a little better, but it's still kind of, I mean, this is good. You see it on the screen right here? That's actually a pretty good size, actually, because, let me try one more. Hold on. Let's get it. Ah, it's about the same. All right. About the same thing. All right, let's get it. All right. So, whoops. So right here, man, we have the Ring Magazine rankings. As you can see, the rank number 1, which is kind of hard to tell because of how I have it centered. But Terrence Crawford is number 1. As you can see, if you don't believe me, you don't have to. There's number 2 right there is, what's my boy name? Israel Madrimov. Number 3 is Sebastian Fundora. So the champion is vacant right now. So I'm going to show y'all just so you don't think I'm capping. So the champion is vacant for the 154 pound rankings. This is for Ring Magazine, official Ring Magazine rankings. So let's go over it right now. I made a video talking about it, but you know, let's go over it right now. What's the subject so you don't make me sound crazy? Bro, Teddy, I was not making you sound crazy. I was just joking with you, bro. You talk about whatever you want, man. I'll mess with you, brother. Talk about whatever you want. I'll address it, you know, once I get my thoughts off, and then I'll address it for sure. You know that. But we talk about 154 pound rankings. Yeah, Ring Magazine, hardest working man all that, man. I appreciate you, Teddy. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's dope too. When, you know, when you don't have to try to compliment yourself or speak of yourself when your peers acknowledge your work ethic. That's like the biggest compliment to me. Because I always get that compliment no matter what I'm doing, whether it was academically in school or athletically, you know, or even in the boxing gym as an amateur boxer or in content creation space. I've always get told that, and that's a reflection of what I want to do. When people recognize what how you see yourself, when others recognize how you see yourself, that's dope. So I appreciate that, brethren. That's actually fire. So yeah, so let's talk about the 154 pound rankings, man. They have number 1 at Terrence Crawford. I definitely don't have an issue with that. You know, some people will say, man, how is he ranked number 1? You know, he just got here. Well, yeah, he just got there, and he arguably beat he beat the arguably best person at 154. You know, he just got to the destination, and as soon as he touched down on the destination for his debut, he challenged the man on the block, you know, which is Israel Madrimov, and he won. So, and he's a WBA champion. And now you can argue, oh, who's the best, whether it's Sebastian Fundora, who has a WBC and WBO belt, or if it's Bakram Murtazaliev, excuse me, who has an IBF belt. But I don't think anybody will argue for that because you don't really know them as much. And I think Israel Madrimov, I would lean towards Israel Madrimov beating both of them, especially Sebastian Fundora. So I don't. It's funny because I actually approve of this. I like this. Bud ain't really getting the credit. Bud really ain't getting the credit. No, I think he is getting credit, Teddy. The way I see that is that he's getting so much credit that he beat the number 1 guy. Like, he beat the guy that was considered the best, and he's so good that losing to him doesn't. You could lose. Like, if Madrimov would have lost to Fundora, I think he would may not even made this list. But because he lost to Bud, who's arguably one of the best, not just in the division, but pound for pound, right? Him, Usyk, and Inoue. I think that they respect Crawford so much that a loss to Crawford is better than a win over Zoo, especially the way and the manner in which Fundora beat Zoo. That's the way I look at it. And a win over Serhiy Boachuk, you know, for Virgil Ortiz is better. I mean, is not as good as a loss to Terrence Crawford, and the way that he lost. You know, he lost in a close decision. You know, so he said because people want to see the work, not the talk. Yeah, I think that yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact, Teddy. Yep, facts. But yeah, I think that in my personal opinion, you know, I think that's kind of a compliment to and a testament to Terrence Crawford's greatness. You know, but yeah. So then we have number 3, Sebastian Fundora. Then we have number 4. You can't really see it's Virgil Ortiz. Then 5 is Tim. You know what? Let's just do it like this because you can't really see it. So we got I'm gonna take my face away. I mean, I could just make myself smaller. Give me a second. All right, so we got number 5. So number 1 is the championship is vacant, right? It's a vacant belt. Then we got number 1, Terrence Crawford. Number 2, Israel Madrimov. Number 3, Sebastian Fedora. 4, Virgil Ortiz. 5, Tim Tszyu. 6, Serhii Boachuk. 7, Erickson Lubin. 8, Jesus Ramos. 9, Charles Conwell. And 10, Brian Mendoza. Like I said, I'm really fond of this Brian Mendoza. The fact that they included him because, you know, a lot of times we always say, oh, well, you know, this guy lost and this guy lost. Well, you know, Brian Mendoza has 4 losses. I believe he has the most losses on this list. Yeah, by far, right? So he has the second most losses is 2 losses by Lubin and Boachuk. So he has double the second and third most losses, right? But I like his inclusion because if you notice and if you know Brian Mendoza, yes, he has 4 losses, but 3 of the losses that he has came to people on this list. So Brian Mendoza, he lost to Tim Tszyu, and he lost to Serhii Boachuk, and he lost to Jesus Ramos. So my point is that that's an indication that he's fighting the best. So it's okay. It's not, you don't want to lose ideally, but if you're gonna lose, and you lose because you're fighting the best, right? You don't lose because you're fighting somebody that shouldn't have beat you. Like as an example, like when Luis Lopez just lost to Angelo Leo, right? That was a shock. That was an upset. Or even when Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, right? That was an upset. Or even somebody, let's think, I don't know, just any upset, you know. It's nothing wrong with bouncing back and getting upset. But I'm saying that if you're going to lose, then I don't think you should be knocked too low for losing to top guys. And he has one more loss. I can't remember the other person he lost to off the top of my head. But yeah, and then so if you look at these lists too, the people that he lost to, you know, Serhii Boachuk, he lost to Virgil Ortiz. You know, and Tim Tszyu, Brian Mendoza lost to him, but he lost to Sebastian Fedora. And guess what? Oh, Brian Mendoza knocked Sebastian Fedora out. You know, so I think that he definitely should be included. And then Jesus Ramos, he only has 1 loss. He lost to Erickson Lubin. You know, Erickson Lubin has 2 losses. One of them is to Sebastian Fedora, and the other person to Jermell Charlo, who's not on this list, right? People are like, dang, where's Jermell Charlo? But Jermell Charlo was inactive, because if he was active, he would probably be right here as a champion because he was undisputed. But I'm okay with him not being on the list because, you know, like I said, he's been inactive, and once he gets back in the fray, then of course you can bump him up to the list. But I think they're right to exclude Jermell Charlo for right now. My boy said, did I just see Andre Berto? Nah, where you see? Oh, he thought Conwell. He does kind of look like Andre Berto, though. That's crazy. You're right. He does kind of look like Andre Berto. That's funny. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the general public. Ain't giving them credit. Oh, okay, true. For Madrimov, because his name wasn't ringing, but he'd been right. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I got you. My fault. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I really don't realize how good Madrimov is. There are a bunch of Martin Bacolis nobody wants to. That's facts. Shout out to Martin Bacoli, man, native of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Shout out to him. But yeah, no, you're right though. Yeah, people need to give people more credit, but they don't. They just like to tear people down, especially us. You know how that go. But that's why we're here though. We're here to give not just us credit, but we're here to give everybody credit, man, and approach it from an unbiased, fair, even point of view, man. You know, so we're gonna get recognized for it. We may not be getting the recognition right now, but we will. The Truth Teller says, why is Mad number 2? Why is Mad number 2? Oh, why is Madrimov number 2? I think he should be. Who do you think should be above him, Truth Teller? I think that's a good spot. He only lost to the number 1 guy. Not only did the number 1 guy he lost to, he's also lost to the number 1, arguably pound for pound guy. So when you look at number 3, Sebastian Fedora, yeah, he did beat Tim Tszyu, but guess what? So that one loss came by KO, and it came to this guy, Brian Mendoza. So it's funny that. And I don't know you, Truth Teller. I mean, I don't know what your position is, but I think the only reason to have Madrimov below number 2 would be that he lost, right? So a loss, all losses, all wins are created equal, and all losses aren't created equal. He lost by a close decision to the number 1 guy that's ranked in the division, and the guy that's ranked number 1, 2, or 3 pound for pound, whether it's Usyk, Crawford, or anyway. So his decision loss is much better than Fundora's knockout loss to Brian Mendoza. It's much better than Zhu's controversial loss to Sebastian Fundora, even though Zhu, in my opinion, should be higher because, like I said, his loss, yeah, he had a loss to Sebastian Fundora, but it was controversial, right? And it was the circumstances surrounding it. Anybody with a pulse that watched that fight, would most likely think that the fight would be different, would have played out differently if he didn't sustain a nasty cut that severely impaired his vision and he lost an excessive amount of blood. You lose that much blood. Anybody knows that you lose energy. So it's really amazing that he even finished the fight. But I will tell you my list, though. So we switching up the list now. I made my list, and I dropped a video on this, too. We gave a breakdown, but we can talk about it here. In my opinion, I have Bud number 1, which I think this is correct. Is that Andy Garcia division is he under? Is that Andy Garcia division is he under? Can you repeat that? But Teddy, I'm not sure what you're asking. Andy Garcia? This is Jesus Ramos and Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin and but yeah, so I think that I have Bud. I agree with them. Ring Magazine having Bud number 1, but see, for me, I put Virgil should be number 2. I disagree with that. I have Tim Tszyu number 2. I'm not mad at Virgil being considered number 2, but Virgil Ortiz, he had a controversial win over Serhii Boachuk, and Serhii Boachuk beat Mendoza, but Serhii Boachuk also lost to Brandon Adams, even though he was winning at the time of the stoppage. Virgil Ortiz just doesn't have the quality of wins, the high caliber wins, So I wouldn't be mad at him being number 2 because he is undefeated. So if you consider being undefeated as the best thing, then yeah. But Virgil Ortiz, you could argue that he has only one fight at 154, right? Because he missed weight so many times. So I mean, you could that's a discussion though. I'm not mad at that, but I don't have him. I have number 1 Terrence Crawford. I have number 2 Tim Tszyu, and I'm gonna tell you why I have number 2 Tim Tszyu, because some people be like, oh, he lost to Sebastian Fundora, but I consider the way he lost. In my opinion, Tim Tszyu beat Brian Mendoza pretty badly. He was a tough guy, never been stopped. Even with Serhii Boachuk lumping him up, Tim Tszyu, in my opinion, he had a decision loss to a guy where he was severely handicapped and impaired. So, in my opinion, I think Tim Tszyu would not have lost that fight. You never know, it's boxing. He could have lost the fight. I don't know for sure, but I just know from what I saw, even though it was a small sample size, in 2 rounds, he busted Fundora's lip and broke his nose or something like that. Broke his nose and fractured his nose or something like that. And had him leaking out his nose and his mouth in 2 rounds. So if his team was more effective, they would have stopped the fight and not let it get to the 5th round. That way they could have went to the judges. If they would have went to the judges after 4, he would have won, because he won the 1st and 2nd round for sure, and he won the 3rd round as well. So I think he would have won. So his team failed him and the ring doctor failed him, and that resulted in him having his first loss and losing his 2 belts, WBC and WBO. So I have Tim Tszyu number 2, and I actually think that Tim Tszyu is the biggest roadblock for Terrence Crawford to get undisputed. My issue though, my first issue, I was wondering if Garcia was in the same weight class. I got you. Andy Garcia. Who's Andy Garcia? I'm not sure who Andy Garcia is, Teddy. My issue is when I first look at this rankings, it's a good ranking, but immediately I give a lot of credit to the champions, and the IBF champion is missing. Bakram Murtazaliev, who Tim Tszyu will be fighting on October 19th, I believe. I immediately see that Bakram Murtazaliev is missing, and I think that while I do like the inclusion of Brian Mendoza because he fought the top guys, I think that Bakram should be on this list, and I think he should be above quite a few people. Just because I give so much credit to the champion, but we're going to talk about it right now. So I got number 1, Terrence Crawford, number 2, Tim Tszyu. I have number 3 as Israel Madrimov, because his only loss came to a pound for pound guy and Tim Tszyu. Terrence Crawford. Then I have Virgil Ortiz as number 4, actually being in the same spot that he's in. Then I have number 5 as Sebastian Fundora, since he is a holder of WBC, WBO. And Bakram Murtazaliev I have as number 6, because he is a champion, but he hasn't really fought anybody that is notable. This will be a major step up when he fights Tim Tszyu, and I have Tim Tszyu favored to win, in my personal opinion. And then number 7, I have Serhii Boachuk taking Erickson Lubin's spot. And then number 8, I have Erickson Lubin. I have him right above Jesus Ramos, like kind of like in the same order that they have. but I just have them in different positions. Because Jesus Ramos lost a close decision. Well, it was a unanimous decision, but a lot of people said it was controversial. They said Jesus Ramos should have won. I thought it was the right decision, but it was a tough fight. I have Erickson Lubin number 8. I have Jesus Ramos number 9, and I have actually I have Charles Conwell number 10, and I have Brian Mendoza as my honorable mention. The reason why I think it's important to keep Brian Mendoza in consideration is because even if it's just an honorable mention, is because, like I said, he does have 4 losses, but 3 of those losses came to guys on this list, right? So he lost to Tim Tszyu by decision, lost to Serhiy Boachuk by decision, and he lost to Jesus Ramos by decision. So I think Brian Mendoza should be considered or should be mentioned, but I would remove him because I would include the other champion, which is the IBF champion Bakram. Puerto Rican who beat Porter. Who beat Sean Porter? Maybe I gotta see him. Let me see. Maybe I gotta see him. I don't recall it right now. Andy Garcia. Puerto Rican. Oh, you talking about Danny Garcia? You talking about Danny Garcia, Teddy? Yeah, Danny Garcia. You talking about Danny Garcia, bro? Yeah, you talking about? Wait, no, you said Andy. You said he beat Sean Porter. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Cause yeah, Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia. Yeah, I'm not sure. Unless you talk about, because Danny Garcia is Puerto Rican, but he lost to Sean Porter. Remember? Unless you're talking about somebody else. But if you are talking about Danny Garcia is that he's coming back, but he's coming back at 160, and he's gonna fight Erislandy Lara. Actually, he's not coming back at 160. He's coming back to challenge Erislandy Lara for the 160 middleweight belt, but it's at a catchweight at 157, which I think is trash. I think that's trash, bro. Like, I don't know how you coming back off of a hiatus and then you fighting for the championship belt, but then the belt that you're fighting for, you're not even fighting at the weight class for the belt. You fight at a catchweight at 157, but you're still fighting for the belt. Bullshit! Yeah, I think that's corny. Truth Teller says, Bud turned him into albino pink leopard. Hey, yo. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's what you talk about though, Teddy. I could be wrong, but I think you're talking about Danny Garcia. I'm not sure though. Man, he's the only dude to ever had Boachuk going backwards, bro. The only dude. Who else has Boachuk fought? Danny. Okay, bet. Yeah, Teddy. Yeah. Also, Virgil went up to the hardest hitter, the biggest dude after Fedor in that division. Yeah, nah, you giving Virgil Ortiz too much credit. Don't sit here and act like you knew who Serhiy Boachuk was. Who has Boachuk fought? Right? Nah, you good, Teddy. Yo, B-Dog in the building. And I like Boachuk. He's very good, but Boachuk was an interim champion. That was Virgil Ortiz's. You could argue that was Virgil Ortiz's first fight at 154, and you could argue that was his biggest challenge. So yes, he did step up in the caliber opponent for him, but where Virgil Ortiz is at, this should not be his biggest challenge at this point in time. But it was, and he did win, and I like the win. I think Virgil Ortiz, I thought it should have been a draw, but I'm cool with the win because it was close. But don't give him Virgil Ortiz beating Boachuk. Boachuk's not the caliber of fighter that Tim Tszyu is. He's not the caliber of fighter of Israel Madrimov. For example, if Terrence Crawford fought Boachuk, I think Terrence Crawford beats him. I don't know who and like I said, no disrespect to I like Boachuk. This is the first time it's gonna sound like I'm not giving him credit, but Boachuk, I think Boachuk beats Sebastian Fundora, and he beat the hell out of Brian Mendoza. But does Boachuk beat Charles Conwell for sure? I think that's a good fight. I think Boachuk loses to Tim Tszyu for sure. I think Virgil Ortiz almost lost to Boachuk. I think Boachuk loses to Israel Madrimov, and I definitely think he loses to Terrence Crawford. I think Boachuk and Erickson Lubin's a good fight. I think Ramos and Boachuk's a good fight. I would lean towards Ramos probably, and I think that, yeah. So his best win is Brian Mendoza, but Brian Mendoza also lost to Tim Tszyu. Brian Mendoza also lost to Jesus Ramos, which is still a good win. But to say Brian Mendoza did knock out Sebastian Fundora, but then Boachuk lost to Brandon Adams. He was winning at the time that he lost, but he still got stopped. And then Virgil Ortiz did not stop him. Going into the fight, everybody was saying, "Oh, Virgil Ortiz's best punch is the left hook." Brandon Adams stopped Serhiy Boachuk by hitting him with the left hook, and Virgil Ortiz didn't do none of that. So I'm not. There's no way I'm putting Virgil Ortiz over Sebastian Fundora, who has 2 belts. Tim Tszyu, who had a controversial loss because he suffered a hellacious injury, and I'm not putting him over Israel Madrimov, who's a champion. and he lost to a pound for pound talent. And that's I like Virgil Ortiz, but you giving him too much credit, in my opinion. But I'm not mad at that though. I'm not mad at that, but yeah, I think that's too much credit. Because you're saying you're giving a lot of credit to Serhii Boachuk, which I give a lot of credit to, but not that much. He's crazy after that inactivity. Yeah. After that inactivity, exactly. I think that's crazy, Teddy. He said that's some Pacquiao-ish. Yeah, facts, B-Dog. He said Mad 10-0. Yep, exactly. Boachuk 25-1. Yeah, Madrimov is 10-0 and he's a champion. Boachuk is 25-1 and he's not a champion. He's an interim champion. Also, Crawford and Virgil have one similar opponent, which is Mean Machine. A long time ago, he fought Kai Velasquez. Yes, that was a long time ago. And who fought the better version of Mean Machine? Was it Terrence Crawford or was it Virgil Ortiz? Who fought the better version? I mean, they don't just have one. So what you said is true, but it's not true. They have another common opponent in Thomas Delorme. Are you giving Virgil Ortiz the same amount of credit for beating Thomas Delorme as Terrence Crawford? Didn't Terrence Crawford fight a much better version of Thomas Delorme? Didn't Terrence Crawford fight a much better version of David Avanesian than Boots? So having a commonality in an opponent is not telling the whole story. I mean, Samuel Peter, the Nigerian Nightmare, he fought Vladimir Klitschko. So did Tyson Fury. Who fought the better version of Vladimir Klitschko? Definitely wasn't Tyson Fury. So yeah, I don't. You got to consider the whole. You got to tell the whole story. So yeah, I mean, David Avanesian, it was still good when he fought Boots, but he fought Boots after Terrence Crawford. So that means he fought him after he got stopped, and he fought him on short notice. But if you just look at the names on the list, you'll say, oh yeah, they both fought David Avanesian. Well, David Avanesian had a full camp when he fought Terrence Crawford. He had a short camp when he fought Boots, and he was older, and he already been stopped. So hell no. Yeah, you're right. They both fought Thomas Delorme. They both fought Mean Machine. But who fought the better version of Kai Velasquez? Was it Virgil Ortiz or Terrence Crawford? I mean, but yeah, like I said, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just telling you what my breakdown would be. I would like to see Lubin versus Rock. Yeah, I would like to see that again too. That's definitely a fight that's worth it. My boy Oscar in the building. But yeah, I like Virgil Ortiz, but you got to earn those positions. And I think that to me, Virgil Ortiz and Boots are in a similar position. They both look great when they're in the ring, but they're missing the caliber of opposition that we would like to see them against, right? They beat mediocre at best competition. Now Virgil Ortiz had a major step up with Serhii Boachuk. That's definitively his best opposition, especially with the timing and everything. But it was still only for an interim belt. Boots, at least he has a full belt, whether it was elevated or not. It's still a full belt, and he has a solid defense against David Avanesian. But my point is that just because you have a commonality in opponents doesn't mean that opponent was the same. You know, Big Bang Zhang fought Deontay Wilder, and so did Tyson Fury. Who fought the better Deontay Wilder? It definitely wasn't Zhang. Tyson Fury fought the better version of Deontay Wilder. So in my opinion, that could be misleading. You know, it's like Gamboa. You know, Terrence Crawford fought Gamboa. Devin Esau Pitbull Cruz fought Gamboa. Gervonta Tank Davis fought Gamboa. But Terrence Crawford is the only one that fought Gamboa when he was undefeated and he was one of the most avoided fighters, and he had the expectations on him. So that's a difference, man. Definitely got to tell the whole story. Too bad I won't be around to see you at 40, doctor. Yeah, you will be a brilliant analyst. You good already, but I see network popping. Man, I appreciate that, brethren. I appreciate that, Teddy. I speak that into existence, man. Speak that into. What you mean? Too bad you won't be able to see me. What you mean? Oh Lord, don't tell me nothing bad, Teddy. Good Lord willing, we all get to see it. You know, I'm not too far from 40, bro. I'm on 4 years. I know. A lot of people think I'm younger than what I am, but. You know, I don't look my age. I don't look like a doctor. I don't look like myself. I've been told I don't look Jamaican. I don't look Nigerian. I don't look American. I don't sound Jamaican. I don't look like I have a PhD. I don't look my age. Hey, that's a blessing though. I don't want to look like I don't want to look like a doctor, because you know what people think of when they think of a doctor, they think of somebody who looks nerdy. I'm nerdy, but I don't want to look nerdy. People stereotype too much. I really hope you get that recognition you deserve to get you that position I just said on your platform, because bigger than fight. Man, I appreciate that, Teddy. I appreciate that, brethren. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot, man. Fandora fought retarded. said Fedora fought retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact. Fedora fought retarded. He lost, acting like Joe Frazier. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing, though. Rest in peace, Joe Frazier, Smoking Joe. But Fedora, he doesn't utilize his range, right? He fights on the inside. I heard people say that it's due to he has a vision impairment. Like, he can't really see that well. And when they say see that well, I'm sure they talk about like judging distance and stuff. So that's why he doesn't use his range. I don't particularly buy that. But I had vision ailments too when I was boxed amateurly, but it's because my eye was damaged, not because I couldn't see. You know, I feel like the ring's not that big, but I don't know. Everybody's vision is different. That could be the truth. I just think that he just likes to fight on the inside, and you know, everybody doesn't use their tools. You know, at the same time, you got to enjoy it. He probably enjoys the mix-up. You know, like Brandon Figueroa, does he have a vision impairment? He doesn't utilize his range. Tommy Hitman Hearns fought. He was more versatile, of course. I'm not saying that they're the same fighters. But I'm saying a lot of times Tommy Hitman Hearns, he was a hitman, right? He didn't use his range and always outpoint you. Sometimes he liked to get in there and mix it up, right? And brawl probably more unnecessarily than he had to, you know. Who else is a tall fighter that does that? Even look at Rafael Espinoza at 126, featherweight. He's 6'1", featherweight. And he be fighting on the inside, you know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes people just like to fight, you know. But I mean, I don't know. I think that's just his preference. Me too, B-Dog. Yeah, I don't buy the vision impairment thing. I mean, it could be. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't have any inside sources. I'm just going off of what I see and what I observe. I don't think it's any type of impairment related. I think it's just preference. Yeah, I agree with you, B-Dog. I'm tired of these lames. Never uses his length. Yeah, I agree though. I think he should use his length. Truth Teller says Mima She was 33 when he fought Ortiz. He was 31 when he fought Crawford. Yeah, I know it's only a 2-year difference. I'm not saying it was a huge difference, Truth Teller, but like you said, your name's a Truth Teller, so we just got to tell the truth. That's all. A 2-year difference is different, right? Okay, so it's like this, Truth Teller. I'm gonna give you another example since you want to bring in age. Like I said, we're just talking, right? And you could join the Discord too if you want to have a conversation. It's fine, or just get off your thoughts. But if it's easier to talk than type, but let's look at this, right? And B-Dog can attest to this. Teddy can attest to this. I'm sure you can, Truth, because you are the Truth Teller. What do they say about Pacquiao and Floyd? Yes, please hit the like button. My boy Kendrick in the building. Kendrick can attest to this as well. All my boxing aficionados can attest to this. What do they say about Pacquiao and Floyd? They say they fought too late, right? Why? They say that Floyd aged him out, right? They say that Floyd was waiting until Pacquiao got older and slower. Well, Floyd Mayweather is actually older than Pacquiao. So I just have a very hard time believing that the older dude is aging out the younger dude. Now, with that being said, we all watch boxing, so we know some styles age more effectively than others or have more longevity. So Floyd's style is more conducive with longevity because he fights a more defensive style. He fights a more cerebral style. He's more countering, more defensive overall. Pacquiao, his style admittedly will age faster because it's more so predicated off of athleticism, his explosion, his agility, his quickness to get in and out, to get to the side, give you angles. So that is more predicated off of athleticism, and athleticism tends to deteriorate faster with age than, let's say, a cerebral game. It's kind of like Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry. Floyd Mayweather would be the Steph Curry in this situation. The person with the better jump shot is going to have he's going to have a prosperous game longer than the person who's explosive like Russell Westbrook, and his game is predicated off of taking it to the hoop and taking it to the goal and being quicker, being the faster person, being the more explosive athletic person. So naturally his game is going to deteriorate faster. But however, at the end of the day, I still find it hard to believe that the older person is trying to age out the younger person. So the correlation that I'm making is that 2 years for Floyd, according to the consensus, is not the same as 2 years for Pacquiao. Obviously, because they're saying that it would have been more advantageous for Floyd to fight Pacquiao sooner, when it'll probably be just as advantageous for Floyd as well because he's actually older. But it's like people just like to manipulate the story and not tell or release all the information. So my point is saying that we don't treat age the same for everybody. So my point is that, yes, it was only 2 years, but in that 2 years that transpired, Kavaliauskas could have slowed down a whole lot. Mean Machine could have turned into the Green Machine. He could have turned into the Clean Machine. He could have turned into the Broke Machine. You know, He could have turned into the nice machine. Maybe he got some nice sheets. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he got maybe he got a nice house. Maybe he got a little more comfortable. Maybe he had a baby, and maybe his priorities changed. He couldn't be in the gym as much those 2 years. I don't know. I'm just speaking. And on the flip side, he could have got better too. He could have improved in those 2 years. So that you're right. So that could work for you too. But I highly doubt it. And watching that fight, did Kai Velasquez look better against Terrence Crawford, or did he look better against Virgil Ortiz? I'm asking you. You tell me. They say Floyd aged him out. Hey, thank you, B-Dog. Yep. They said Floyd aged him out. They said the older fighter aged out the younger fighter.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. People be reaching, bro. He said, me neither, because he likes to duck to make himself short like Wilder. Yeah, facts. Wilder also, right. Well, we know Wilder, he didn't use any of his shout out to Wilder. He gets disrespected, and I salute Wilder. I think he's underrated, or not that he's underrated, he's just disrespected, but he was limited, right? He didn't use anything right. He didn't even use his right hand right. It's just that his right hand was so good that it didn't matter if he used it right. But yeah. Fundamentally speaking, Deontay Wilder was very had a lot of deficiencies, but he overcame those deficiencies, and that's why I applaud him, because he wasn't the perfect fighter. He did not start early, and he wasn't the most fundamentally sound, but he still accomplished a lot. So yeah, Fundora's sister about to dominate. Yeah, facts. Gabriela Fundora's a beast, Teddy. That's a fact. Looking back, they fought at the right time. I'm telling you, Kendrick. Was the narrative? Yeah. What are your thoughts on Stevenson? Stevenson, Shakur Stevenson, or I'm assuming you're not talking about Adonis Stevenson, right? Talking about Shakur. I think Shakur is good. I think that he's I'm gonna be honest on Shakur. I think he's good, and he's borderline underappreciated, but he's not likable, bro. Like, at least for me, like to me, but I don't care about that, because I like boxing. I don't care about who the fighter's dating. I don't care what they ate for breakfast or how they brush their hair. I don't care about that. As long as when you're in the ring, you perform, and I think that Shakur performs very well. But in this day and age, with the social media explosion and the more accessibility we have to these fighters, and the more they make themselves accessible, it's kind of hard not to pay attention to these fighters, right? So especially as somebody like us who are boxing purists. So I think that or people like us who are boxing purists, he makes it hard for me to like him, because he just seems corny, man. He just seems like the person that gets sensitive. He likes to throw stones and then hide his hand, and when people throw stones back, he tries to play the victim. I don't really care for that, But he's a good fighter, and I like watching him fight. Is he the most entertaining person to watch? No, and I'm a pugilist enthusiast, but I have no problem saying that if you ask me to pick a fight, who am I going to watch, Tank or Shakur? I'm picking Tank. If you ask me who I want to watch, Jaime Munguia or Shakur, I'm watching Jaime Munguia. They're more exciting, but I'm going to watch them all, because I watch all boxing. I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to enjoy it, because he does do the sweet science. He does avoid getting hit, and he is great. He's a champion, and he's undefeated, and I think that he's the only person that can beat Tank. So I recognize his greatness, but yeah, he makes the more I pay attention to him, the less I like him. So I just try not to, unless it's talk about something serious. Like, I thought, even though I know a lot of people have their own opinion, and he has a right to feel how he feels, I'm not saying he couldn't have got offended by Andre Berto, but I also think that he could have got offended, yeah, but he also could not have got offended by what Andre Berto said, So a lot of times I noticed that Andre Berto definitely could have hit him in the DM and hit him with a private message. I think that was an appropriate way to do it. But I will say this, man, it's like, I don't know how much you pay attention to rap, but I don't know if you remember years ago, Kodak Black said something. I believe when, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. I believe Nipsey Hussle passed away, and then Kodak Black said something like, "Oh, good, she's single now. I'ma holla at her," or something like that, something to that effect. And his homies were recording it, and they posted it. It's like, bro, first of all, you got to check his circle, because if I said that, I wouldn't say nothing crazy like that. But if I was to say it around my homies, I would like to think that my homies wouldn't record it, and if they did record it, they wouldn't post it. So you got to check the people around you. That's number one. But number two, you said something disrespectful in public, so T.I. checked you in public. But instead of just taking it like, dang, man, you right, bro, I appreciate that, he went at him and got mad. And so it shows immaturity. You know what I'm saying? So with Andre Berto, if you look at what he said, it wasn't offensive. But when you want to be offensive, when you want to be offended, or you want to be sensitive, then you could turn things you could find a way to be offended, is what I'm saying. So I feel like he kind of, I'm not saying that Andre Berto couldn't have hollered at him in the DM. I'm not saying T.I. couldn't have hollered at Kodak Black in the DM. You could do a lot of things, but when you do something publicly, why are you mad at the person that's checking you or correcting you publicly? the infraction was done publicly. It wasn't in private. It wasn't like you were at the crib and you offended me, and then I went on social media and then said, oh yeah, this guy offended me or something like that, or this person did something wrong, and then I exposed it. No, you exposed yourself when you did the wrong thing. And so he just telling you, hey man, you know. But anyway, that was just that might not have been the best. I can give you more examples of Shakur saying some wild stuff. But yeah, he just seems annoying. But yeah, I definitely think he's a beast though. Just like Roy and Bernard Hopkins. Yep, facts, Oscar. About what we were talking about earlier. He looked the same. He hurt Virgil in the second. He hurt Crawford in the third. Virgil knocked him out in the eighth. Crawford knocked him out in the ninth. He looked the same to me. I think that. Well, I mean, I'm not mad at that. He did hurt him in the second. Crawford hurt him in the third. Yeah. People say that David Avedisian looked better against Boots too. I just don't feel like you could say that. People fight differently, right? So he wouldn't. Number one, he wouldn't approach Terrence Crawford. Well, depends on how much credit you give him. Like Esau Pitbull Cruz, I like Esau Pitbull Cruz, but he's not changing his game plan for who he's fighting. You just got to know what he's bringing, and you got to overcome it, right? But Mean Machine, I think he does implement a game plan, and I wouldn't think that his game plan against Terrence Crawford would be the same as Virgil Ortiz. So it's like okay, so I'm gonna give you another example. You're right, that was very similar. They had a very similar outcome. But my question is this: Terrence Crawford, who's bigger? Terrence Crawford, especially at the time they fought, Terrence Crawford or Virgil Ortiz? Terrence Crawford is smaller. So with a smaller guy beating the same guy, with a smaller guy beating a guy that's in the same or similar fashion as a bigger guy, who's better and who probably had a harder time? Probably the guy who's smaller. In Terrence Crawford, I would think Virgil Ortiz should be able to beat Kavaliauskas a little sooner, but they beat him around in a very similar fashion. It's like, I'm gonna give you another example. It's like Ricky Hatton, right? Ricky Hatton lost to Pacquiao and he lost to Floyd Mayweather. When people talk about that, especially during the build-up, they say, "Oh, Pacquiao beat Ricky Hatton in a much more demonstrative, in a much more definitive fashion." And I'm like, hold on. Floyd and Pacquiao don't fight the same way. If I'm not mistaken, Floyd also knocked out Ricky Hatton, and when he knocked him out, he hit him with a check left hook, if my memory serves me correctly, and made Ricky Hatton dive headfirst into the turnbuckle and knock himself out, like it was WWE things. He made him hit the turnbuckle with his head like it was scripted. Like, so my point is that he embarrassed him. So just because someone got knocked out in the second round, I believe Pacquiao knocked out Ricky Hatton in the second round, based on his style, that's right up Pacquiao's alley. I think it was very impressive. But is it more impressive than Floyd's knockout of him because it happened 8 rounds later? No, if you looked at the way it happened, it was just as impressive based on how Floyd Mayweather fights. So my point is that just because somebody may get them out, knock somebody out sooner, or just because even if they beat them in a similar fashion, you got to look at them stylistically. And stylistically, I could argue that Floyd's was more impressive, than now. I do think that Pacquiao's performance against Miguel Cotto was more impressive than Floyd's performance against Miguel Cotto. But then once again, too, like Juan Manuel Marquez, I could argue that Floyd Mayweather's, granted it was at a catch weight. I don't remember what the catch weight was. I want to say it was like 140. I know Floyd came in 2 pounds heavy against Juan Manuel Marquez. I don't remember what the weight was, but he dominated Marquez. So his win against Marquez was more impressive than any of Pacquiao's wins against Marquez. So it just matters what you say. So I would argue in that Crawford should struggle more with Kavaliauskas because they're more of comparable size than Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is big. Virgil Ortiz is a big guy. Boots is a big guy. Even though Boots is at 147, Boots is what, 5'10", and he's like, I heard that he walks around pretty huge, which doesn't really matter how much you walk around at, but he's definitely a big guy. I think Boots could make it to 160 is what I'm saying. So he's not just tall vertically, but he's also like solid. And Virgil Ortiz is definitely a more solid guy. Not saying that he's way taller or whatever, but he's definitely more solid. So him fighting Kavaliauskas and doing better than Terrence Crawford, who's of comparable size to Kavaliauskas, then I think that's not. I'm gonna give you another example. It's like Bivol beating Canelo, and then I don't want to say nothing too ridiculous though. Let me not say Bivol. Let me say I'm gonna give you an example. It's okay. Let's say like let's say Madrimov, right? Terrence Crawford beating Madrimov, right, at 154, even though he just got to 154. Now let's think about, I'm not gonna say Boots because, like I said, Boots seems like a natural bigger guy than Terrence Crawford. But let's say Devin Haney beating Madrimov. Who would be more impressive? Would it be Terrence Crawford win over Madrimov or Devin Haney's win over Madrimov? I mean, of course, it depends on how it gets there. It depends on how it goes down. But Terrence Crawford being that it went to decision, I would think that if Devin Haney beats a guy like Madrimov, which I don't think he could, I'm just speaking hypothetically, if he could beat a guy like Madrimov, it would definitely go to decision. I don't think he would knock out Madrimov. So who do you think would be more impressive? I would say the smaller guy, Devin Haney, because even though Devin Haney, that might not be a good example either, because we know he's a weight bully too. So he's quote unquote a weight bully. So maybe that's not a good example. Let me use somebody else at 147, a more natural. Well, I mean, but Devin Haney never fought at 147 yet. So that's a good example because he usually fights at 140. Even though he comes in big for 140, he still fights at 140. So yeah. So would Devin Haney beating Madrimov be more impressive than Terrence Crawford beating Madrimov? Madrimov is 5'9", Boachuk is 6 foot. Madrimov is better than Boachuk. What's your thoughts on the size right there? I'm not saying that size is everything. I think Madrimov beats Boachuk. Based on the fact that I don't think Madrimov, even like I said, Boachuk was beating Brandon Adams. I'm not saying everything is size. I'm saying that size should be factored in for when you made the comparison of Virgil Ortiz and Crawford fighting Kavaliauskas. I'm saying that, of course, the bigger guy, the naturally bigger guy who should have. So Terrence Crawford and Kavaliauskas, they fought at 147, correct? So they were more comparable in size. So the bigger guy in Virgil Ortiz should have an advantage over the guy who's 147, even if they're the same height. I was just using that as an example. I'm not saying that height is everything, because even in your example, I think Madrimov beats Boachuk. Why? Because I don't think Madrimov, even though Boachuk was beating Brandon Adams, I don't think Brandon Adams beats Madrimov. I don't think Virgil Ortiz beats Madrimov. So yeah, I think it was 142 and Floyd came. Okay, 144. I got that wrong. The catchweight was 144. Came in at 146. Okay, appreciate that, bro. I knew you'd get me right. Appreciate that, bro. Thank you. Yeah. So either way, it was 2 pounds. So we were correct. I appreciate that confirmation, B Dog. Smoochie in the building. So yeah, so that's my point. But the size, I would give Boachuk the advantage because of the size. But I think Madrimov beats Boachuk. Yeah, I think Boachuk loses to Madrimov because size isn't everything. But when you're talking about, because you were making a comparison of a common opponent, and I'm saying that Mean Machine should be easier for Virgil Ortiz because he's a naturally bigger guy. I'm not talking about height. I'm talking about just he's at 154. And granted, he fought at catchweights because he was overweight. But Virgil Ortiz, did anybody ever think he was a natural 147? I don't think anybody thought that. You know, I think that you could argue that Virgil, there were some points in time where you could argue that Virgil Ortiz could have been at 160. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that cleared it up, Truth Teller. So I'm not saying size is everything, but if you're going to compare people with common opponents and Virgil Ortiz, even though they both fought, I believe they both fought Mean Machine at 147, Virgil Ortiz is considered the bigger guy. Right? I mean, I think so, but anyway. I mean, I don't know though. I mean, like I said, you got a good point though. I'm not mad at you having him over there though. Truth Teller. We're just having a discussion, bro. I'm not mad at that. He said, "Who are my top fighters at 140?" Oof. Top 10? Oof. Yo, what's up, City Gang? Hey, we just asked about you. Smoochie just asked about you yesterday. What's good, City Gang? Oh, it's doing better, Smoochie. I appreciate you asking. Yeah, Smoochie just asked about you, City Gang. I've been grinding, about to go to sleep. Just wanted to stop by and say, hey, I appreciate that, City Gang. Thank you, bro, for coming by. Don't forget to like the video. You feel me? Yeah. So I'm not saying you wrong. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Virgil Ortiz fight him at a catchweight, or did he fight at 147? I believe he fought him at 147. But let's look at the 140-pound division. My top 10 at 140. 140 is a crazy division, man. So I definitely got Teofimo in there off the strength. I got him number 1, just because he's the longest reigning champion, right? Or current champion. He's the longest reigning current champion. You got Liam Paro. You got Rayo Valenzuela, and we got Alberto Puello, right? Who's going to be fighting Sandor Martin, and then Gary Antoine Russell's going to be getting the mandatory. Or he's going to be the mandatory for the winner. So you have Sandor Martin, Gary Antoine Russell, Subra Matias still there. He's a player. Are we counting Isaac Pitbull Cruz, or are we anticipating him to move down to 135? Let's still count Isaac Pitbull Cruz because he just lost a belt. 140. Jack Catterall, who's fighting Regis Prograis. Shoot. I know I'm missing some people. Jack Catterall. I'm not ordering them right now. I'm just naming people. I said Liam Parr already, right? Yeah, because he was a champion. I listed the champions. You got Richardson Hitchens, Gustavo Lemos, who he just fought, or last fought. I feel like I'm missing somebody that I like, too, at 140. Of course, you got like guys like Oscar Duarte. Dalton Smith's at 140 or 135? I don't remember. You got Rolly Romero at 140. There's some good guys at 140, man. That's tough. That's a tough. Let's bring up the Ring magazine again. Super lightweight. Let's bring it up. Yeah, I said Rayo. Yep, I said Rayo. I named the 4 champions first. Yep. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up. Okay, so we got they got Devin Haney #1. Okay, huh? I got Teofimo the champion, of course. They got Devin Haney. Oh, I forgot about Jose Carlos Ramirez. Yep, I knew I was forgetting about somebody. Oh man, he's fighting Arnold Barbosa Jr., who I think is overrated. I like Jose Ramirez, but I think Arnold Barbosa Jr. is overrated. Oh, I forgot about Josh Taylor. I didn't mention Josh Taylor. I mentioned everybody else. So Regis, I would actually, no disrespect to Regis. I like Regis, Ruguru, but I would put what's the name here over him. I would put Rayo. Yeah, I would put Rayo over him, and Isaac Pitbull Cruz over him. Even though, I mean, he only lost to Devin Haney and Josh Taylor, so I guess I don't know. I guess he only lost to Devin Haney and Josh Taylor, while Isaac Pitbull Cruz lost to Tank, who is not a bad loss, but it's at a smaller division. So you gotta consider that when you consider 140. And then he also just lost to Rayo, who's coming up from 135. So now I can understand this. But I just think because Isaac Pitbull Cruz is a champion, you know. But you definitely got to put the champion up. I'm really big on that. Like, the champions don't got to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively, but I think they should be considered out of respect. Like, no disrespect to Gary Antoine Russell. I like him. He only lost to Alberto Puello right here, but it's hard for me to include him and him, even though he's undefeated, and him. You got to keep him out of respect. For being undisputed at one time. But yeah, it's hard for me to put them over Rayo, even though Rayo has what? 2 losses, chat? 2 or 3 losses? I think 2 losses. He lost to Edwin De Los Santos and he lost to Chris Colbert. I don't think he lost to anybody else, right? But he's still a champion, man. So but other than that, I kinda like this list. I like this list, man. It's not a bad list. But me personally though, let me write it down, because I'll forget if I'm just talking. So I would definitely have T.O. #1. That's a good question, though, Truth Teller. Yeah, facts. Oh, what about Ismael Barroso? Too? When you said there's like 40, it made me think about the guy who's like 40. Ismael Barroso is like 40.
Damn! I'm sorry.
Shout out to Ismael Barroso. But yeah, I would definitely have T.O. #2, I'm not mad at Haney being there because he is undefeated, and that he fought a cheater, so he was robbed of that opportunity to win. But he's still that imagery still in my head. I still think he needs to bounce back. So I would not have him #2. I would actually, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I would actually have Liam Parr #2, and then I would have #3. I'd probably put Haney, and then #4, I'll probably put because Pueblo's undefeated too, and I feel like, I remember I was saying this. I was saying that I would love for Gary Antoine Russell and Subra Matias to fight, and then they both lost, right? They both lost on the same night because Alberto Puello beat Gary Antoine Russell, and then Liam Parr beat Subra Matias. I still think that's a great fight though in losses. I think Subra Matias and Gary Antoine Russell is a great fight. But with that being said, man, #4, I might put Puello there. Puello #4, #5, because what's crazy to me is that Sandor Martin's not on this list either. That's kind of crazy to me. I know he has a loss, but you could argue that he beat Teofimo, even though I think Teofimo won. But you know, you can still argue that. Some people do argue that. Alberto Puello, number 5. I don't know, man. This 140 is tough, man. He said the fight wasn't at 140. What fight wasn't at 140? Oh, Devin Haney. Yeah, you're right. Yep, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. Yeah, you're right. It was not at 140. That's true. That's true. Nah, that's true. Because the belt was off the table. You're right. Nah, hey. Yeah, I might have to put Haney number 2 at 140. That's a good point. That's a great. Thank you, Kendrick. That's true. So I take Liam Paro down and I put Haney up. I like that. That's a fact. Damn, good point. That was a great point. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is tough, bro. 140 is tough, bro. After Puello, so I got Tio number 1, Haney number 2, Liam Paro number 3, Puello number 4. Man, I might put Matias number 5, man. I know that sounds crazy. I might put Matias number 5, even though he lost to Paro. But then again, he did lose to Ananian. He avenged that Ananian loss, but I can't put. I forgot he has 2 losses. Yeah, 140 is tough. I might, because Josh Taylor, he lost to Teofimo. He lost to Jack Catterall. That's it, right? Jack Catterall and Teofimo. Jack Catterall lost to Josh Taylor, even though you could argue he was robbed the first time and he avenged that loss. I might put Jack Catterall number 5. Horiku's fighting Ishmael Barroso, right? Ishmael Barroso versus Horiku. That's happened next. I think that's kind of scary for Ishmael Barroso. He's fighting him in Japan, right? Soon. I don't remember when, but I know that fight's already scheduled. He's an undefeated. Horiko is undefeated too. Dalton Smith. Yeah, Dalton Smith disappointed me when he knocked out Jorge Zepeda and then he called out Adam Azim. So I lost respect for Dalton Smith. He said he wants to be a world champion. He has world champion aspirations, but then when you win a silver championship and you beat first person stop Jorge Zepeda, if I'm not mistaken, and Jorge Zepeda's been in the ring with like Richardson Hitchens and stuff, and then you call out Adam Azim. It shows me that you're not really about that life. So I don't believe in Dalton Smith because I don't think he believes in himself. So you can't convince me to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. Even Eddie Hearn was even in the ring and said, Adam Azim?
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that?
Eddie Hearn, being the great promoter that he is, he tried to save Dalton Smith and say, yeah, there's levels to it. There's different levels. But if Adam Azim wants it, we can make that fight happen. You could tell Eddie Hearn was mad. Because even Eddie Hearn, he said, yeah, man, no, we want to fight a champion or world champion. But if Adam Azim wants that smoke, then, and there's levels to this, we could fight Adam Azim. Eddie Hearn was even disappointed. I know he probably cussed out Dalton Smith after that. That was a perfect opportunity to call out a champion. He called out Adam Azim. So, yeah, I don't believe in Dalton Smith at all. Now, they said Canelo been business has a business of breeding ducks. It's keeping him from signing the contract. He been busy lately. My boy Clone in the building. Man, this is tough, man. So I'm still trying to make a list, man. I definitely got Ramirez on it, but it's hard for me to put Jose Ramirez above Josh Taylor, and Josh Taylor beat him. So, but I think Josh Taylor has been looking bad. Yeah, this is that's tough, bro. I still got Matias on there though. I'm gonna put Taylor on there because of. Yeah, I'm gonna put Taylor on there. This is tough, bro. Nah, this is tough, bro. I ain't gonna lie. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so y'all, okay, we about to argue right now. I know we're about to argue. All right, so I got my list, man. I got my list, chat. I know I'm probably disrespecting somebody, missing somebody. I got But yeah, so let's bring up the list now. I'm gonna remove myself so we can see more. All right, so look, so they got Teofimo number 1, Devin Haney number 2. I mean, Teofimo the champion. Martin, Frank Martin. You talking about Frank Martin? Frank Martin's I did hear he's going to 140, but I don't count somebody in a division until they fight, unless you're talking about Sandor Martin. If you're talking about Sandor Martin, yeah, I forgot about Sandor Martin. Ooh, dang. I still like my list, but I put Sandor Martin as an honorable mention. Dang, that's tough. But nah, this is ugly, bro. This is ugly, bro. This division is ugly, bro. I just got in at work a little late, but hey, I'm here to talk to him. Kendrick, get ready for work. Hey, August 3rd. Hey. Okay, so look, so even though technically this has 11, right? Because they have the champion as Teofimo, and then they go 1 through 10. So my list, oh, I could give 11 too. Yeah, so let me give 11 then. Yeah, I like that. Okay, bet. So I could give 11. Technically, right? Y'all gonna let me give 11 because they gave 11. They have a champion Teofimo. So I'm calling Teofimo 1 or the champion. Excuse me. So with that being said, my list. I know Truth Teller gonna be on my head top. So number 1, I have Teofimo. Number 2, I have Haney, just like them. But number 3, I have Liam Paro. So they have it number 3, but remember it's number 2 because we're counting this as 1. So let's not do that. Let's just do what they did. So champion Teofimo, I think he's number 1. So number 1 after that, the number 1 ranked after the champion is Haney. I agree. I got number 2 is Liam Paro, so I put him over here. So I take off Carlos Ramirez. Number 3, I have Alberto Puello. So I move Puello from 5 to 3. Number 4, I have Jack Catterall, so he's in the right spot for my list. Number 5, I have Josh Taylor, so I move Josh Taylor up. Number 6, I have Matias, so he's in the same spot. Number 7, I have Rayo, so Rayo's not even on this list. I got Rayo as number 7. Number 8, I have Hitchens, so I move Hitchens up. And then number 9, I have Jose Ramirez, so I move him way down because he does only have 1 loss, and it's to Josh Taylor, but you know, his opposition is in kind of question. And then number 10, I have Sandor Martin. Yeah, I have Sandor Martin as number 10. I feel like I kind of disrespecting Sandor Martin. I feel like Sandor Martin should probably be above Hitchens and Jose Ramirez. Well, I ain't gonna say Jose Ramirez, but yeah, probably above them both. But I like that list. And we'll see how Sandor Martin performs against Alberto Puello. And then my honorable mention is Gary Antoine Russell. No, Regis KO'd Zepeda first. Oh, did Regis KO him? Let's look it up. I thought Regis did KO. You're right. I think you're right. I thought that yeah, he did stop him. He did stop Jose Zepeda. I called him Jorge Zepeda. Excuse me. I meant to say Jose Zepeda. I always confuse Jorge Linares and Jose Zepeda. Sometimes I call Jorge Linares Jose Linares, and I call Jose Zepeda Jorge Zepeda. Yeah, you're right. I thought, man, yeah, he KO'd him in the 11th round. I thought Dalton Smith stopped him first. Matter of fact, somebody else stopped him first. Terry Flanagan stopped. I thought that's crazy. So I was way wrong. So he got stopped 3 times. I thought he only got stopped once. And I thought it was the Jorge Dalton Smith. I forgot Regis stopped him. That's a fact. Appreciate that. But yeah, that's my list, man. What's y'all list? You got to drop your list, Truth Teller. You made me drop my list. You made me hurt my brain trying to think of a top 10 for freaking the stacked division of 140. You know what's crazy? 140 is not even really stacked. Is it really stacked though? It's deep. Is depth the same as stacked? Because to me, a stacked division means that there's a whole bunch of greats. 140, I wouldn't say there's a lot of greats. I think there's a lot of goods. You know? And there's no disrespect, but am I tripping on that, chat? Like, there might be 1 or 2 greats at 140. but it's stacked with a lot of good people. Like, to me, what's stacked is maybe like super middleweight, 168, because you have Canelo. If you want to count Benavidez, still there. If you want to count Morel, still being there. Those are all great guys. Well, I guess, never mind. I mean, well, it depends on what you consider great, right? If you could consider Jamal Charlo, I think he's great, even though he's inactive. And then I think Caleb Plant is great. Some people may not, but he only lost to Benavidez and Canelo. No shame in that, in those losses. I think Jaime Munguia has the potential to be great. I don't know if he's great right now, but like at 140, I don't really see too many people with even the potential to be great. It's decently solid. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's deep. I think it has a lot of depth. I think it has a lot of parity, but I don't know if it's. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's semantics, right? B-Dog. I mean, I guess it could be synonymous. Like, I ain't gonna say synonymous, but similar, stacked in depth. There's a lot of good one fight away to being great. That's facts, Oscar. Because I'm gonna be honest, like when I say there's only like two, I like Liam Parle the most out of 140. Liam Parle is my favorite fighter at 140 right now. Well, no, sorry. Liam Parle and Isaac Pitbull Cruz are my two favorite fighters at 140 right now. But are they great? I can't say Isaac's great. I think he's very good. I think Liam Parle is very good, especially beating Matias in his hometown, in Puerto Rico. I think that's good. But great, I agree. I think Oscar. I agree with Oscar. I think Liam Parle is a fight away from being great, and I think that he could beat Devin Haney. And I think he beats Teofimo. But I could only say that Teofimo and Devin Haney are great. Teofimo being a lineal champion and being the Ring Magazine champion. Devin Haney being the youngest undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. So and they both have the fact that they both beat Lomachenko, who's a future Hall of Famer. So I think that they're the only two that are great, that I feel comfortable saying are great, is Teofimo and Devin Haney. Even though I think Teofimo's been looking shaky. I'm not saying he's been great lately, but I think he's great. He's definitely an accomplished boxer. Devin Haney's definitely an accomplished boxer. Liam Parle, I think he's on the verge. He has that potential, but I can see how he could get beat too. But yeah, so I'm only comfortable with saying two of them are great. Can Jack Catterall be great? Because you could argue that Jack Catterall beat Josh Taylor twice, So could he be great? Yeah. If he could beat Teofimo, he'll be great. I think he can too. I think that's a good fight. Liam Parle, if he could beat Devin Haney or Teofimo, he could be great. Jose Ramirez, can he be great? Maybe, it's still, the verdict's still out on him. Richardson Hitchens, could he be great? I don't know. I think he could. I was actually impressed how he beat Gustavo Limos. I thought I was expecting to be more impressed because of how good I thought he could be. But that was a close fight. I thought he won. I don't think anybody in their right mind that's not emotional think that Gustavo Limos beat Richardson Hitchens. I know a lot of people are trying to say that. I thought it was a close fight, but I thought there was a clear winner. Sometimes you can have a close fight and have a clear winner. Like, I think Richardson Hitchens won that fight 8-4. I think I scored it. Maybe 7-5. I think I scored it 8-4 though. There was a lot of close rounds that he edged out, but he still edged them out. So I think if Gustavo Limos would have beat Richardson Hitchens, it would have been a robbery. Yeah, parity is a great word to describe it. It's a lot of competitive matches. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, B-Dog. Yeah, I think so. Like Pitbull, Matias, if they would have been, if they would have been considered great, just that is so deep. Yeah, it's just so deep. They would have been considered great, right? Just that it's so deep and so competitive now. Valenzuela and Parle are one fight of making it happen. I agree. I don't know about Rayo though. I like Rayo, but I think Rayo's like 2 or 3 fights away from being great, because Rayo did still lose to Edward De Los Santos, which is well, it depends on what Edward De Los Santos does, right? So Edward De Los Santos, so far he's been terrible. He still left that stain and that nasty taste in her mouth. Pause.
What do you mean by that?
He still left that us wanting more. Dang, pause again. Hey yo.
What?
He left a lot to be desired. Yeah. He didn't look as good as we thought he was gonna look. Gosh dang, I don't know. It just seemed like it was getting progressively worse. So what I'm saying is that Rayo, the fact that, Edward De Los Santos, he looked terrible in his last performance against Shakur Stevenson. But if Edward De Los Santos bounces back and he looks good against somebody else, then Rayo's loss to him doesn't look as bad. But right now, I can't say with Rayo being stopped by Edward De Los Santos and losing to Chris Colbert, even though he avenged that loss, I still think Rayo needs to beat. Like now, Rayo beats like, if he beats like a Matias, even though Matias lost, if he beats like a Matias or a Gary Anton Russell, and he beats like a Jack Catterall or a Liam Paro, no, I take that back. If he beats like a Jack Catterall, Matias, or Gary Anton Russell, and then he beats another champion and unifies, like if he beats Liam Paro or the Alberto Puello Sandro Martin winner, then I would say Rayo is great. But I think he needs more than one fight. But I do agree with you that that Isaac Pitbull Cruz was one fight away. If he wouldn't have lost to Rayo and he would have unified, because I had my money on Pitbull unifying first at 140. Yeah, no Diddy. Yeah, no Diddy. That's definitely a no Diddy. Multiples. Yeah, I agree with you that Paro's one fight though, because Paro beat the boogeyman, the quote unquote boogeyman, in Subra Matias, and then if Paro could unify, or if he beats like a strong contender like Catterall, or even if he beats like a Ramirez, Jose Ramirez, who's fighting Arnold Barbosa Jr. I think he's one. I think Paro's one fight away from making from where I would be okay with calling him great, and he's actually my favorite at 140 right now. Larry Liston, what's good? He said most people will say I'm a casual for this, but in my opinion, Alberto Puello beats everyone. I don't think you're a casual for thinking that. I mean, Alberto Puello is what? He's tall, he's rangy, and he just beat the undefeated heavy hitter in Gary Anton Russell. Gary Anton Russell had 100% KO rate when he beat him, right? So no, I don't think you're a casual. 140, like we just said, it's a very contentious and competitive division. So I don't think you're a casual. Ryan Haney, Tio Rayo, if you look at his skills, he could beat anyone on a good day. I agree. I would take Ryan out of that because technically Ryan has never really fought at 140. When he fought Oscar Duarte, he wasn't at 140. He came in overweight. And when he fought Devin Haney, he was overweight again to the effect that he couldn't even compete for the championship. Not to mention that he also had the PEDs in the system. So I would take Ryan off of a 140 consideration just because I don't consider him a 140. P had a Diddy. You got to tell him no. So when we talk about Haney, T.O., and Rayo, I don't think at 140, I don't think Ryan Garcia belongs in that conversation.
We do not let people who are on the juice discuss real athletes. That's all.
You feel me? We do not let people who are on the juice discuss real athletes. So I think Ryan Garcia is disqualified out of 140. Not even that he was just on the PEDs, but he never fought at 140. I'm back at a work meeting. Hey, I appreciate that, Mike, my boy. Appreciate you joining us back. Yes, enjoy the redeem team. Facts. Not just to redeem himself from a loss, but redeem himself from an interest standpoint. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I like Jermaine Ortiz, bro. We forgot about Jermaine Ortiz. I was just gonna say I like Jermaine Ortiz, but Jermaine Ortiz, man, the way that I feel like he betrayed us, man. So it's same with Edward De Los Santos, man. They gotta redeem themselves, man. I feel like I was really big on Jermaine Ortiz, man. And then when he put up that stinker against Teofimo, that was a terrible fight. Teofimo's to blame and Jermaine Ortiz is to blame. Shakur's to blame and Edward De Los Santos is to blame. I don't like when people just blame Shakur and they just blame Teofimo because they have the biggest name. But so they do deserve the majority of the blame because that comes with having a big name and having great expectations, especially when you're the self-proclaimed takeover. You couldn't even take over the ring against Jermaine Ortiz, literally, because you couldn't cut off the ring. And then against Steve Claggett was a ridiculously close fight. That had no need to be that close. Steve Claggett's a tough guy, but Teofimo, being Teofimo, pound for pound expectations and a generational talent, he should have been able to handle Claggett easily, in my opinion. It shouldn't have been such a struggle. So when people talk about struggles and they talk about Terrence Crawford struggling against Madrimov, that's an okay struggle because he moved up. It was his debut at a higher weight division going against a champion, an undefeated champion. That's when you're supposed to struggle. You're not supposed to struggle against somebody who has a blueprint on how to beat him. He already had 6 losses and some by knockout when you fought him at the same division that you've been at. So that's when the struggle is not okay. So I don't get why people are knocking Terrence Crawford for struggling. If anything, you're supposed to struggle when you move up and fight a champion on your first time at your debut at a division. You're uncharted waters. So anyway, Edwin has to join the facts. He said, but yeah, I don't think that you're a casual for that, Larry. Listen, I think that Alberto Puello is a good pick for a dark horse to unify 140. I think Albert, like you said, he has all the tools. He's rangy. I was very impressed at how he beat Gary Antoine Russell. I thought Gary Antoine Russell was going to stop him, you know, which I knew was going to be a good fight, but I thought he was going to stop him late. And not only did he not stop him, he didn't even win. So Alberto Puello, I thought he used his range, he used his skills, he outpointed him. I liked his footwork and his balance, because Gary Antoine Russell is a strong guy. Even if you block his hits, he's going to knock you off balance just off the sheer momentum and force behind his punch, off of just straight mass and inertia. But you know, Alberto Puello handled that very well. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I disagree with it. I like Liam Paro, me personally, but I don't think there's any the closest thing you could get to a definitive best in 140, in my opinion. I think anybody's a pretty much good option, but the closest you could get to, if there is a definitive pick, it would have to be Teofimo or Devin Haney. Everybody else is questionable. I picked Liam Paro, but that's questionable. I picked Isaac Pitbull Cruz to unify first. That's questionable, obviously. He just lost, so that was very questionable. I might need my boxing purist card revoked. Valenzuela and Puello is a fight I'm interested to see. Ooh, that's good. That's good. Rayo and Puello, ooh-wee. That's good. My three favorite fighters at 140, Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis, and Dalton Smith. I'm highly excited for the Regis and Catterall. That's going to be a fight. Yeah, I agree, truth tell. I like Rougarou as well. I have Jack Catterall winning that fight pretty convincingly, but I think it's going to be a war. I like Rougarou too. I think he got a lot of, naturally, right? I think his stock went down, as it should, because he lost to a guy coming up, even though, like I said, once again, we got to tell the truth. You know, your name Truth Teller. We got to tell the truth. And I'm talking about me, you know, and all of us. Is like, yeah, Regis Prograis got washed by Devin Haney because on the surface it looks extra bad because he lost to a guy that was coming up making his debut at 140. But is Devin Haney really making his debut at 140? He knew he was taller and he knew he was going to be bigger. Granted, I can't knock him because he's a consummate professional. He made weight before he blew up, but he still blew up. You know what I'm saying? It's not as bad as not making weight and blowing up, but it still is. The fact is he still came in at 165, and he came in much bigger, significantly bigger than the guy who was supposed to be the bigger man. He was moving up to fight a bigger man, and he came in the much bigger man. So I'm not saying that we got to knock him for it because that's part of your negotiations. You know what I'm saying? Regis Prograis and his team, they can't complain because they got to factor that in. That's the whole point of having a responsible team and an educated team. You got to factor these things in and consider these things. And so Devin Haney is not wrong for taking advantage of that, but it is what he did, and you could tell in the fight, you know. So I think that I have to factor that in. And when you factor that in, Regis Prograis really shouldn't be as penalized for losing to Devin Haney, because Devin Haney is a pound-for-pound talent, and he was a pound-for-pound talent when he fought Regis Prograis. So I'm guilty of this too. I do give Regis Prograis a lot of flack for that. But it's not just that. It's that he lost, and then he already lost to Josh Taylor. But Rougarou is definitely a good fighter. I say all that to say Rougarou is a good fighter, but I have Jack Catterall winning that fight. And Dalton Smith, I don't like Dalton. I used to like Dalton Smith, and then until he called out Adam Azim, I'm not gonna lie, I was really disappointed in that. Elvis Rodriguez from the Dominican is better. DR, Dominican Republic, in the building. If Keyshawn moves up, give him some Jermaine. Ooh, that's a good test. Make it it or break fight for both. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like that fight for Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn could win, but the reason why I don't, like I said, I don't trust Jermaine Ortiz, man. I feel like Jermaine Ortiz. I know people say this about Shakur, but like I said, Shakur, he didn't press the issue against Edward De Los Santos, but we anticipated Edward De Los Santos to press the issue. So while I'm mad at Shakur for making it a boring fight, and his hand was broken, but De Los Santos was coming in as a pressure fighter, so much so that he even pulled up to Shakur in his hood in Jersey. So you pulled up to him on his hometown in real life, but you didn't want to pull up on him in the ring when you're supposed to during the fight. So I think so. While Edward De Los Santos, while I blame Jermaine Ortiz and Edward De Los Santos, while I blame Shakur and Teofimo, I blame Edward De Los Santos and Jermaine Ortiz. And the reason why I say about Jermaine Ortiz and Keyshawn is that what if Jermaine Ortiz does the same thing that he did against Teofimo, against Keyshawn? Why wouldn't he? Isn't Keyshawn just as much of a power puncher as Teofimo? Isn't he just as much as a threat as Teofimo? I would say Teofimo probably a slightly bigger puncher. Well, not at 140, he hasn't been, but I would say he has slightly more pop than Keyshawn. But what if Jermaine Ortiz does the same thing? You know, I was anticipating to see a Jermaine Ortiz put in the same effort as he did against Lomachenko to make that a great fight, but he didn't, man. He disappointed me, man. So that's why I think it's a bad fight, because even if Keyshawn wins, you're still gonna look bad, because like Teofimo looked so bad against Jermaine Ortiz, but it's because Jermaine Ortiz didn't want to engage. So like I said, Jermaine Ortiz gotta earn my fandom back, because I like Jermaine Ortiz, but I thought that was terrible. I wouldn't mind if I didn't see him again. How you feel about Nick Ball defending his title against Ronnie? Who the fuck is that? Against Ronnie? Hold on, I got you. He said defending against Ronnie Rios. Hold on. Where's it at? I can't find this, Moochie. I can't find it. He's defending this title against Ronnie.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Rios. Ronnie Rios. I believe Ronnie Rios. Didn't he beat Oscar De La Hoya's cousin? I can't remember Oscar De La Hoya's cousin's name. I just remember he's Oscar De La Hoya's cousin. I think he's a pretty decent fighter. Nick Ball versus Ronnie Rios. I'm kind of disappointed in that. I would have preferred to see Nick Ball versus Ray Vargas. Because remember, they had the draw, right, Smoochie? Before Nick Ball fought Ray Ford, he had a draw another close fight with another Ray Vargas. And that was a controversial fight. I thought Ray Vargas won. But it was a close fight because Ray Vargas definitively won the first 6 rounds, but then Nick Ball started coming alive at the latter half of the fight. But I thought Ray Vargas did enough to win. However, the point is it was a draw, and now they're both champions. Nick Ball is a champion now, so why not have that rematch for a unified fight? Like I don't be understanding boxing, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I understand the cross promotional issues and stuff like that, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to see Ray Vargas against anybody right now besides Nick Ball. I don't want to see Nick Ball against anybody right now besides Ray Vargas. And it's crazy because El Divino, Rafael Espinoza, who I personally feel is the best at 126 at featherweight. I think he's the best right now. I like him to unify first and potentially get undisputed. He's fighting Robesi Ramirez, and they had a close fight. They had a close fight, and they're having a rematch, potentially on the Oscar Valdez versus Navarrete rematch. So it's like, bro, get these rematches popping, man. Stop playing, bro. I don't want to forget. Let's get that rematch, man. Nick Ball versus Ray Vargas. So to answer your question, I'm not interested in that at all. I'm not interested in Ronnie Rios versus Nick Ball at all. But I'm gonna watch it, of course. Key needs to stay and give Kid Austin a chance. Don't let him run. I like that. I like Keyshawn and Kid Austin. I like that fight, but yeah, we'll see what they do, right? Because they were talking about Floyd Kid Austin Schofield going against Ashton H2O Silv, but then Lucas Body caught a body. I'm talking about he dropped a bomb on him. And shout out to H2O, though. H2O was winning every second of that fight, virtually every second of that fight, and he just got caught. What was it, the 8th round or 10th round or 6th round? I can't remember. But he just got caught, so got to tighten up. Got too comfortable. Trust me, y'all are going to see a completely different Regis against Jack. He's going to look like a different fighter compared to against Haney. I hope so. Should be a close. I hope so. Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so, because I like Rougarou, man. Elvis fighting T.O. Nix, maybe. Keyshawn cuts the ring off better than T.O. Nah, I agree. I think Keyshawn, who doesn't? I think everybody cuts the ring off better than T.O. That shit was terrible. That was terrible. I think everybody cuts the ring off better than T.O. So, yeah, I agree with you, Kendrick. It was nice talking to you about boxing, brother. Got to see you next time. Hey, I appreciate that, Truth Teller. Appreciate you coming through, man. And big salute, man. Shout out to you. And thank you for having a good conversation, man. I know we disagreed on the Virgil Ortiz, but you stayed around and we discussed it. And, while I'm sure I didn't change your mind and you didn't change my mind, we could agree to disagree. So appreciate you. Appreciate you hitting that follow button as well, or subscribe button. Well, welcome to the channel, man. Ronnie Rios is allegedly number 13 contender. Yep. How about this, Dr. Angelo Leo versus Nick Ball? That's a hard fight to pick, man. I'm actually leaning towards Leo. Me too. I'm gonna be honest, man. While I like Nick Ball, and I thought he did well from an effort standpoint, and he showed me that he did go to the body. Nick Ball disappointed me against Ray Vargas, which is why I want that fight again, because I just didn't understand the IQ, or more effectively, more appropriately, the lack of IQ. Like, Nick Ball, you're the smaller fighter. You're fighting a guy that's 5'11" and lanky. Why would you not go to the body? Go back and watch that fight. If you could count more than 5 body shots from Nick Ball over the duration of the fight, I cash up you some money. Right? He did not go to the body at all. How are you the smaller fighter, the stronger fighter, have the lower center of gravity, the bigger puncher, and you don't go to the body over a guy that's almost two body lengths bigger than you? So I was very disappointed to me, he just looked like he was a brawler. He just looked like somebody that's fighting like he's in a bar fight. Ray Vargas, he fell off towards the end of the fight, but I need that rematch. Now, like I said, Nick Ball impressed me because he did go to the body a little bit against Ray Ford in his next fight, but yeah, he got to get that back. Stop lying. You don't like. Smoochie out here snitching. Smoochie out here snitching.
All right, I'm putting cases on all you bitches.
Hey, she ain't lying, Chad. I might not like Nick Ball. She might be right. I ain't gonna lie. She probably right, bro. I probably don't like Nick Ball. I definitely don't like Dalton Smith. After Dalton Smith called out Adam Azim, I'm done with Dalton Smith for sure. Nick Ball, I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna say I dislike him, but I definitely will say I don't like him. And there's a slight difference between dislike and just not liking him. You know, I don't like him like is that I don't care for him, like he's just there. But dislike, I don't dislike him. Like dislike means I'm like rooting against him and stuff like that. I'm not rooting against him, but yeah, nah, I ain't gonna lie. I'll be going for Ray Vargas against Nick Ball though for sure. Nick Ball versus Ronnie Rios. I wouldn't be mad if Ronnie Rios came out with a dub, but I really don't have a horse in that race. But yeah, Smoochie might be right. I probably don't like him. Was it Queensberry versus Matchroom Card when you said you can't stand Nick Ball? Bro, she snitching, chat. Hey yo.
Me blood clot.
Smoochie out here bringing up receipts, documentation with the snitching too. That's crazy.
All right, I'm putting cases on all you bitches.
Yo. Hey yo, she brought up the place, the date, the time, the location. Jeez. Nah, she's right though. Yeah, Nick Ball. He just does his fight smart. I don't like okay, if you're not gonna be an intelligent fighter, you gotta at least try. Like Esau Pitbull Cruz, he's not really what I would call an intelligent fighter. He doesn't really seem like he's implementing different game plans for different fighters, right? He seems like he fights the same way, but at least he fights. You can never see a Pitbull fight and see that he loses for lack of effort. I love that. You know, Nick Ball, like, nah, bro. You gotta show me something, bro. Yeah, nah. She's speaking facts. That's what I nah. She's speaking facts for sure. She's speaking facts for sure, Kendra. He said, I can see why you don't like it because, like, Pitbull, he's kind of limited. Same with Matias. I put all three guys and say, yeah. Pitbull is limited, but Pitbull has effort. Pitbull, what he does very well. Pitbull is very durable, and his pressure is relentless. Nick Ball, he just be seeming like he's a bar fighter, bro. I can't rock with that, bro. Matias, though. Matias, once he puts that pressure on you, you out of there. Like, once he gets you cornered and he puts that pressure, he's going to pick his shots. Nick Ball was in there with his head ducked and throwing like this. Like, come on, bro. At least when Pitbull throws like this, he's back here with it. He's bop, bop. You know what I'm saying? He's bop, bop, bop. You know what I'm saying? He's very compact. He's back here with it. Man, Ray Vargas was picking him apart. Bing, 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 bing. Kind of flat-footed brawlers who are good pressure fighters. Not a lot of great fundamentals. Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm not against that. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but I think Pitbull and Nick Ball are very similar in style. Yes, but in execution, no. I like Pitbull. Pitbull is gonna go to that body. Pitbull gonna go to whatever's available, like a Pitbull. Nick Ball he's like a wrecking ball, but with no direction. And a wrecking ball with no direction ain't moving. So ain't no point of being a wrecking ball if you ain't got no direction. You just running into anything. Nah, I'm not going. I think I was commentating with him that day too. Yeah, facts. But yeah, 140 is definitely a deep division, man. What about 147, man? 147 is speaking of Smoochie, let's talk about Boots, man. What y'all think about this 147 stuff, man? What do you think Boots should do? You know, I've read an article. I don't know if it's true. I didn't look into it. I'm not gonna lie. I just read the article. Usually when I read an article, I'll go and look for other articles or look for other things to corroborate with the story that I'm reading in the article or what the accusations or, you know what I'm saying, just to make a better, more well-versed and accurate assessment when I'm thinking about it. But I didn't look into anything else. But I've read an article. I believe it was on Boxing News or Boxing Scene. I don't remember. And it said that Jerron Boots Ennis is ruled out going to 154. Did you hear me? Let me say that again for those in the back. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick, you heard me, right? I read an article. Like I said, I did not check the validity, but it's an article, so it should be pretty reputable. I read an article that said Boots has no interest in 154. The same Boots that said he would go all the way up to 160. The same Boots that said he wants to fight Terrence Bud Crawford, who's currently at 154. The same Boots who's not unified or undisputed at 147. So I just think that, and this is no disrespect to Boots. I like Boots. But I don't like the people that are trying to imply and allege that Bud is ducking Boots. How can you duck somebody? I don't care what the circumstances were or are. I don't care what the agreements was. If you are undisputed at 147 and you move on to 154, because I think if you get undisputed at a division, damn it, you have the right to move on. So he's been undisputed and he moved on to 154. And the guy that they say he should fight is not only not at 154, he has no desire to even be at 154. So he's definitely not a champion at 154. And the guy that you're saying is ducking him is a person who has communicated his ambitions of being undisputed at 154. So I'm not knocking Boots for knocking Boots is crazy. Pause. Hey yo.
What do you mean by that?
I can't call him Boots. I say that way too much. Every time I say I'm not knocking Boots, that come on, bro. That's that. Yeah, we go no Diddy. That just I gotta call him Drawn or something. So I'm not knocking Ennis, because I would rather him stay at 147. But to everybody that's saying that Bud is ducking Boots, this is how you sound. So I think that I think Boots should unify at 147. I've always said that. He should try to be fighting Stan. The only way he shouldn't unify is if Stanionis doesn't want to fight him, which is weak, because he said he would. If Barrios doesn't want to fight him, which is also weak, because he said he would. And if Brian Norman, who's the newcomer at 147, doesn't want to fight him, but he should at least try. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand. How about this, Dr. Angelo Leo? Yeah, I would lean towards Leo though. I can see why you don't. Okay, I read that. I think you were. He said 147 is thinning out. Yeah, true, Oscar. True. But still go. That's all the more reason to unify. I'm not even saying get undisputed, but at least get the IBF and the WBO, or IBF and WBC, or IBF and WBA. Why not? Stanionis, I guess. Yeah, top 3 right now or in the future. Boots beats every fighter they put in front of. I agree. Future pound for pound top 3 fighter. It's just about getting the opportunities for Boots. I agree. But they said that Barrios said he'd fight him. So you got to pull his card. Stanionis said he'll fight him. You got to pull his card. Brian Norman said he'll fight anybody. Last time I checked, Boots is a body. So anybody is inclusive of Boots. But I don't want Brian Norman to fight that though, because Brian Norman was just coming off of a spectacular win against Giovanni Santillan, and he was an underdog, right? He spoiled Santillan's homecoming. So I think that, and Brian Norman's only 23, which you could accomplish some things at 23, and I like his ambition, but I think that he should get another fight, at least 1 or 2 more fights before he attempts to unify with Barrios, Stanionis, or Boots, especially with Boots. I never thought, but yeah, I know you didn't, Smoochie. I'm not talking about you. I never heard you say that Bud is ducking Boots. I know you said that you would like to see that fight, just like me. I would like to see Bud versus Boots. So I don't want people to get it misconstrued. I want to see Bud versus Boots, just as much as anybody else. But that just because I want to see it doesn't mean I'm going to say anything that's illogical, irrational, or something that is nonsensical and just off of straight emotion. There's nothing that validates Bud is ducking Boots. Nothing. If Boots got a belt at 154 and then Bud didn't want to fight him, then I would understand you saying he's ducking. But why are we putting the person who has the legacy, who has an established reputation, who has the accolades, who has a pound for pound 1, 2, or 3 title, who has the #1 ranking in Ring Magazine, who has the right to say that as soon as he retires, he's a shoe-in Hall of Famer, who has the consideration of being an all-time great? Why is it the onus on that person to accommodate the person that's coming up? That's like saying Floyd Mayweather should have went back down to 147 and fought Errol Spence. Why? If anything, it's on Errol Spence and Keith Thurman and whoever else wanted to fight the big dog and Floyd Mayweather. It's on them as the up and comer to try to make that fight happen, to incentivize the big dog. Come on, bro. It's like David Benavidez, right, with Canelo. I think Canelo should fight him. Why? Because Benavidez put himself in a position to be a mandatory. So that's why Canelo should fight him. It's not because, I just think David Benavidez is good, and because I think he's good, that means that the top guy should go and fight him. No, it doesn't work like that. There's a lot of people that we think are good. There's a lot of people that we think look good. Boots, when you compare him to Bud, his best fight is Avedijan, a guy that Bud beat already a long time ago. So come on, or maybe Karen. You could say Karen. Raymond Villa is pretty good, but Boots doesn't have the quality opposition. Like my boy Larry said, Boots. We think Boots has all the ingredients to make the recipe for pound great, but he doesn't have the opposition. And like Larry said, he needs the opportunities. And that's why he's with Eddie Hearn. Now Eddie Hearn got to make those opportunities happen. But just because he hasn't had the opportunities, I'm not going to assume that he'll beat the best guy if given the opportunity. I think that's backwards. That's backwards, bro. You know what I'm saying? Where else do we do that? We only do that in boxing. Come on, bro. I never thought about it. I just figured he had bigger fish to fry. Exactly, because you're a responsible, logical boxing fan. The other boxing fans are just fanatics. And that's what fan is short for, fanatic. So they act fanatical. And when you act fanatical about something, that means you disregard logic, that means you disregard common sense, and you disregard intellect. That's what happens when you act fanatical about something. You're just straight emotional. There's absolutely nothing to that would lead a person with any type of common sense to believe that Bud is ducking anybody, especially not Boots. Benavidez versus Canelo and Boots versus Bud on the same card would do. Hey, I'd be crazy. Spencer Catfish because he ain't no. That's crazy. That's crazy. We need to see Boots versus Stanley. Exactly. Thank you, Liston. Thank you, Larry. We need to see Boots versus Stanionis. Even Boots versus Barrios. Even Boots versus Brian Norman, even though he's a newcomer to the championship ranks. Bro, there's so many fights. I know we could say the 147-pound division is thinning out. But what if Boots fought Gayashov? You know, Shakram Gayashov? He would be his best opponent. You know what I'm saying? And he's not really known like that, but if you watch it, you know he's a contender and he'll be his best opponent. If Boots fought Conor Benn, you could argue that Conor Benn is his best opponent. So there's so many guys that, yes, they're not guys that will springboard you into all-time status, but they are guys that will build your reputation and solidify your legitimacy as a future pound-for-pound talent. Bro, Conor Benn would be his best opponent, bro. Yes, PED cheating Conor Benn. Am I lying? If Boots fought Conor Benn today, that would be his best opponent. If Boots fought Stanionis, that would be his best opponent. If Boots fought Barrios, that would be his best opponent. If Boots fought Brian Norman Jr., that would be his best opponent. If Boots fought Shakram Gayashov, that would be his best opponent. Come on, bro. So yes, we could say 147 is thinning out and it doesn't have the best opposition, but we could also admit that Boots hasn't fought anybody. There's still a lot of people available for him to fight that would be considered his best opposition. Hell, he can even fight Giovanni Santillan, who Brian Norman just beat. Come on, man. He can even fight who? Blair the Flair. Woo! Cobbs. He can fight Blair Cobbs. Hell, he can fight Adrian Broner. No, not really Adrian Broner, but I'm reaching there. But you know what I'm saying? He can fight Alexis Rocha, who knocked out Blair Cobbs. Come on, bro. There's some good fights for Boots, man. The only way you don't think there's good fights for Boots is if you really believe that Boots, for some reason, should springboard and leapfrog the natural process of proving yourself. That's the only way. Because why does he get to bypass the natural order of achieving greatness? Terrence Crawford had to beat Victor Postal, who was an undefeated champion, to be considered great. Terrence Crawford had to beat the undefeated, scary Cuban fighter Yuriokis Gamboa to be considered great. Terrence Crawford had to beat Jeff Horn after Jeff Horn came off the best victory of his life in beating Manny Pacquiao, whether it was a robbery or not. He still beat Manny Pacquiao. Terrence Crawford had to beat him to be considered great, and he still wasn't considered great. He had to beat Mean Machine to be considered great. He had to beat Mean Machine Kavalauskas. He had to beat Sean Porter, a former champion, to be considered great. He had to be the only person to stop Jose Benavidez Jr. to this day, and Jose Benavidez Jr. been all the way to 168 fighting Jamal Charlo to be considered great. So he had, come on, bro, he had to be another fellow pound for pound title, a pound for pound champion in Errol Spence to be considered great. He had to beat Kell Brook to be considered great, another champion. So where's the champion on Boots? So if you can't name another Boots. If you can't name another championship fighter, a champion fighter, or a championship caliber fighter, why would you suggest that a guy that's been undisputed in not one but two weight divisions is ducking somebody who hasn't even fought a championship caliber fighter yet? Come on, bro. It's just straight emotion. We got to speak. We got to speak the whole thing, man. We got to tell the whole truth. It literally doesn't make sense. You think Barrios better than Avdija? Oof. Yes, I do. Boots just has to stay busy. The worst thing he can do is not fight. Exactly, Oscar. We got to, bro. That's one thing. I know people. We may disagree on things, of course, and I may be wrong about things, but I'm very consistent. It's like when we were talking about Virgil Ortiz earlier. There's no way I could put Virgil Ortiz over champions, and he hasn't fought any champions. There's no way I could put him over even Sebastian Fedor, who I think he'll beat. But just because I think he'll beat him doesn't mean that will actually transpire when they hop in the ring. I thought Isao Cruz would beat Rayo Valenzuela. That didn't happen. I thought Big Bang Zhang would beat Joseph Parker. That didn't happen. So man, I'm proud to say that I predict a lot more right than I get wrong. But sometimes I get stuff wrong. But I do think that Virgil Ortiz will beat Fedora. But even just because I acknowledge that, just because I think that, doesn't mean that that'll happen. And I got to respect Fedora is a champion by hook or by crook. So how could I put him over Fedora? How could I put him over Madrimov, who was an undefeated champion, and he only lost to a pound for pound 1, 2, or 3 guy in Crawford? Whether you have Usyk in a way or Crawford number 1, 2, or 3, it has to be in that order, in my opinion. So if this guy only has 1 loss and he lost to arguably the best fighter on the planet, how could I put him? How could I put Virgil Ortiz, regardless of how spectacular he looked? How could I put Virgil Ortiz over a guy who fought the best and went the distance? Just because he hasn't lost to anybody, and he hasn't fought anybody that's even been a champion. His last fight was the closest he'd been to a champion, and that's because Serhiy Bochuk was an interim champion. So we just got to be consistent, man. I like how Boots is rumbling the boxing world. The facts, he's a beast. I think Boots is a beast. He passes the eye test for sure, but the eye test is not the real test. He got to pass that ring test. He got to pass that battle test. He's making a lot of noise from where he is to the top. That's a fact. That's a fact. But and there's no disrespect to Boots. I'm not disrespecting Boots. I'm just saying how emotional these people are, because you gotta. It's important. The process is important, man. You can't skip. That's how we know how good you are, by going through the process. That means going through the ups and downs, the tough fights, the easy fights. That's why with Keyshawn Davis, a lot of people say, "Oh, he looked bad against Miguel Madueno." I thought that was a great fight because he overcame adversity. Miguel Madueno was a dirty fighter. He was I ain't gonna say dirty. Dirty's not the appropriate word. He was a rough fighter. He mixed it up. He made it tough. He tried to body you. He tried to get a little, fight outside the box. He tried to wrestle you a little bit. Keyshawn overcame that. But you gotta go through these. You gotta go through these. Go through the trenches and go through these obstacles and go over these hurdles for me to know how great you are. What if Boots runs into a Miguel Madueno and you can't handle that? There's so many fighters that we haven't seen Boots encounter, so many fighting styles that we have not seen him encounter, that I think is premature to say that he's great. What are you saying he's great off of? Because last time I checked, people still don't say Terrence Crawford is great. People still try to argue that silly point. And he's been through way more adversity. I like how I read that. Virgil will be Bud's next fight. Yeah, that's what Turki Alalshikh wants, right? And it will also be Bud's easiest fight. Virgil is style-wise perfect for Bud. Bud will pick him apart easily. Ortiz, no footwork. Head above his knee, weak chin. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be his easiest fight, though. I think Virgil Ortiz is good. In my opinion, I think Virgil Ortiz, I think Oscar, they should not make that fight happen. But if they do, I would like it. And I agree with you. I think Bud wins. And I think Bud wins easily. But I don't think it'll be his easiest. I don't know if it'll be his easiest fight because he's still moving up. You know what I'm saying? Now, it feels like if he fought Virgil Ortiz at like 140 or 147, then I can see what you're saying. But Virgil Ortiz is still a big puncher. But yeah, I do think he beats him relatively easily. I should say, not just easily, but relatively easily. I agree. But yeah, because they're talking about getting Shakur versus Zapata and Bud versus Ortiz on the same night. That'd be dope. That'd be fire. They said Crawford breeds ducks with Canelo. They said Crawford breeds ducks with Canelo, so he might not have time to fight Boot Speed. That's crazy, bro. They be. That's why I say, man. There's 3 words like Larry. He came in here saying that people accuse him of being a casual. There's 3 overused terms in boxing that we need to. I'm not gonna say do away with, but just be a little more judicious with our accusations of such. Robbery, overused. Anytime somebody fights that you're rooting for and they lose, they say it's a robbery. There are some robberies, but every fight is not a robbery. Every time the person that you're rooting for loses does not indicate a robbery. That's overused. ducking is overused. Every time a fight that you want to happen does not happen, it does not necessarily mean that one of the fighters were ducking. Let's just be very clear on that. There's a lot of circumstances that have to be met, criteria that has to be met, circumstances that have to be satisfied or considered when making a fight. So just because the fighter that you like doesn't fight the fighter that you think they should fight, it doesn't mean that they're number one deserving of the fight, and it definitely doesn't mean that the other person's scared. That's number 2. And number 3, casual. Just because me and you disagree on a subjective thing as a list of the best, which is full of subjectivity, there's some objective aspects of making the best pound for pound list. Like when you consider, like in my opinion, if you have Inoue, Terrence Crawford, or Usyk, who are 2 times undisputed, if you have them, I'll give you top 5. I really say top 3, but I'm gonna be generous right now. And I don't know why I'm being generous, but I'm gonna be generous. And if you have Usyk, Inoue, or Crawford outside of your top 5, then I'll just disregard your list of pound for pound, because I think that those 3 should be 1, 2, or 3. But I'll give you top 5, because I can see how if you don't really like smaller fighters, like in a way you think that their competition is limited, I could see how you would have somebody like Canelo over Inoue, but he would still need to be in top 5. And if you don't like big guys, like if you don't think heavyweights belong on the undisputed pound for pound list, like say Usyk, because he's a heavyweight, then I can understand how you might have him a little lower, but you still got to consider that he was undisputed at cruiserweight as well. So I think that I'll give you a little leeway, but to exclude him off the list to me is crazy, because he's not a natural heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight, so it's not like he just has undisputed at heavyweight. He has undisputed at cruiserweight as well. So even if you disregard big guys like heavyweights, I still think that's not a justifiable or a legitimate excuse or reason or justification to omit Alexander Usyk from the list because he came up as a cruiserweight. Though I think Boots is a better fighter, Mario Barrios got the more respect. Talk to him, Oscar. Talk to him, Oscar. Let's read that again. Yeah. He said, though I think Boots is a better fighter, Mario Barrios got the more respectable resume. Yeah. Come on, man. Talk to him. Talk to him, Oscar. That's what we do, man. We got to give credit, because if we just go off of what we've seen, Oscar, then I could make an argument that Virgil Ortiz is, well, maybe not after Serhiy Boachuk, but yeah, even after Serhiy Boachuk, because I think Boachuk is a good fighter. I could make an argument off the eye test, because Virgil Ortiz has a 100% KO rate, or he had it until Serhiy Boachuk. I could make an argument that Virgil Ortiz is a number 1 pound for pound. If we're gonna exclude your resume, and including not just the people that you fought, not just, so a resume is all inclusive of not just your record, right, but also your accolades, your achievements, and the opponent opposition, and your activity or inactivity. So that's all your accomplishments in boxing, in my opinion. So if you disregard the resume and just say, oh, this guy won and he won by all knockouts, could I not say that Virgil Ortiz is number 1 pound for pound? Yeah, you could say that. But if you think a little bit and you consider who they fought, how they fought him, where they fought him, when they fought him, then you have that tells a whole nother story. So I mean, Better BF should be number 1 if we're just going off of how definitively you beat your opponents. I mean, he knocked out every opponent too, so Better BF should be ranked number 1. No, but you got to factor in that Better BF has stayed at light heavyweight. So there's nothing wrong with staying at light heavyweight and staying at one division. That's dope. But you got to give a little bit more credit to the people who hit bantamweight. Junior bantamweight and super bantamweight and cleaned it out, because that's what getting undisputed means. It essentially means that you cleaned out the division. So he didn't just clean out one division, he cleaned out 2. Better BF has a 20%, he has a 100% KO rate, but he still hasn't cleaned out the one division that he's at, because there's still Bivol there. And same could be said with Bivol. Bivol has looked great. He's won every fight, but he still didn't clean out the division by hook or by crook. It might not be their fault. Maybe they wanted to fight a long time ago, which is probably true, but it still hasn't happened. So now, anyway, he's undisputed in 2 divisions. Terrence Crawford is undisputed at 140 and 147. So welterweight and super welterweight. Sorry, junior welterweight and welterweight, 140, 147. And then Usyk's undisputed at cruiserweight and heavyweight. So when you factor that stuff in, then you got to put it over, you know. Hey, salute Raven, what's good? Blood Raven in the building. Am I missing some messages? Canelo and LS2, he's talking to y'all. Smoochie crazy, yo. Smoochie be throwing shots. That's what I'm talking about. Elms. Yes, sir. I got LS2 and Canelo. When I really break it down, when I really want to break it down, man, we will have people like my boy. I rock with LS2. LS2's my guy though. Canelo's a little ridiculous, but we'll have when you hit the people like that with facts, you know, they have no choice but to take that whooping, man. When you break it down factually, man, we giving people like LS2 and Canelo butt whoopings. We got them in here looking like.
Get him up. Let him get up. Let him get up. Let him get up. Fight back. Fight back.
That's how we beating them down with facts. You know, so when Bud fought Madrimov, he didn't just fight for the WBA. He also fought the WBO interim. Yep, facts. Fundora will drop the WBO. And yeah. He'll be elevated if, right? Because remember, there's a if statement to that, right? He'll be elevated if Fundora doesn't fight Crawford. So you're right. Yes, he won the interim WBO, or he is the interim WBO. And it's dependent on Sebastian Fedora actually fighting Spence for the WBC. Then he will get stripped. But we think he's fighting Spence, but can you tell me a date? I can't tell you a date. So yes, it's been said that Fedora and Spence are fighting, but it was also said that Crawford and Spence were having a rematch. It was also said that we should have seen Better Be Evan Bivol by now. It was also said, you know, that what's his name? Robson Conceição and Oshiki Foster will have an immediate rematch. I haven't seen no date. You know, that could still happen. I hope it still happens, but we also said that we were going to get a Robson Conceição and Emmanuel Navarrete rematch because they had a close fight. They had a draw, remember? So this is boxing, man. It moves with fluidity. You know, something that's concrete and should be definitive is not always that way. Yes, but only WC says Bud is now the interim champ that can strip him and doesn't fight Bud, which will most likely happen for Fedora fight. So yeah, facts. And there is even a chance that Fedora drops both belts and fights Spence. You know, exactly. That's a fact. Not much boxing this weekend, right? No, Blood Raven, there is. Well, I don't know if it depends on what you consider as not much. It's not any real big fights, but there's some good fights. Christian and Billy's fighting Sergey Derevchenko, and on that undercard, Osleys Iglesias is fighting Sena Abeko, the Ghanaian fighter, man. Shout out to Ghana, country out of Africa, you know, on the continent of Africa. And then we got Abdullah Mason. I can't remember who he's fighting. He's making a return. And there's another fight. Somebody else is fighting, bro. A heavyweight fight, man. Oh, Arslanbek Makhmudov versus Guido Vianello. So that should be a good heavyweight fight. So now there's some fights this weekend on Saturday in Quebec, Canada. Morning, chat family. Hey, Smoochie, you talked to Boots about Barrio, Smoochie? Look at Smoochie talking about I wish. Okay, there's some speculation that Tank may be coming back to fight on November 2nd. It says TGB Promotions, the promoters who staged most of Al Heyman's PBC events, have now reserved November 2nd at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, prompting speculation this could be the date and venue for Gervonta Davis's next fight. We'll see how that goes, y'all. We'll see. I mean, I don't know much about the promotions. I don't pretend to have that much inside information. But unless TGB promoters put on other events, then yeah, I think that's a good assumption. But like I said, they could put on other events, so we don't know. And Billy and Derevchenko Saturday. Yep, facts. PBC has to come up with enough money in the Canelo vs. Berlanga fight to further fund Fedora vs. Spence. It's still up in the air if it even happens. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think sometimes people over. Like I said, first of all, full disclosure, I don't look into the economics of boxing. That's not my forte. I don't care because I feel like whenever people bring up money in boxing, it's either to shit on a fighter that they don't like or make an unnecessary comparison to justify why they think a fighter is better. You know, just because it's more popular. So I don't ever think that bringing up, you know, that's just me personally. I'm not saying you, but whenever people bring up promotions, and especially with PBC, oh, does PBC have enough money to do this, do that? Last time I checked, Canelo, who's the face of boxes with PBC. Last time I checked, and I just saw an interview where he was like, he wished that he would have started off with Al Haymon and PBC. Last time I seen David Benavidez talk about PBC, he always expresses that he's happy. Even people like Caleb Plant, who's been inactive, he said that he's happy with PBC. I seen Esau Pitbull Cruz say that happy. I'm bringing up all these fighters. What's the coincidence that none of them are black? But a lot of people don't like PBC because they are a black promotional company. So I just named you 4 fighters that are with PBC and they're not black and they seem like they're very happy. So I just you know, I just got to tell the truth from my perspective. The people that always are quick to jump on PBC and down them, some of them are telling the truth. Nobody's infallible, right? You could critique PBC just like you could critique PBC, just like you can critique Top Rank, just like you can critique Matchroom, just like you can critique Golden Boy, just like you can critique Frank Warren and Queensberry. None of them are infallible. All of them have have their sneaky ways, snakish ways. But I feel like PBC gets an excessive amount of critiques and a lot of times unwarranted amount of critiques based on money or lack of money and who they're losing and stuff like that. You know, so you could be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't really care. I kind of doubt it too. I think they do have money. It's always a money thing with PBC. You know, it's always, oh, do they have enough money? Every time they produce, you know, it's a money thing. And then when you say Canelo's a PBC fighter, they try to say, oh, Canelo's not really with PBC. Canelo has a third party agreement with PBC. He's not really there. It's like, bro, come on, bro. Nobody ever says Devin Haney's, even though Devin Haney's a free agent, when he was with Matchroom, you know, they associate him with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. You know, say, oh, he's not really with Matchroom. He's Like, come on, bro. Like I said, I'm not knocking you, Larry. You might have justification for saying that. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just regurgitate what they hear, and what they hear is not always coming from a reliable source. A lot of times it's coming from somebody who has nefarious intentions and a reason to push a certain agenda against certain people, like Rick Glazer. Not saying Rick Glazer's wrong. He could be wrong. I mean, he could be right, but he's been wrong a lot. Last time I saw a Rick Glazer article, he said that Canelo was leaving PBC. Last time I checked, Canelo's still with PBC against Munguia, and he's still with PBC now against Berlanga. But according to him, Canelo was leaving. And then also according to Rick Glazer, I saw another thing that PBC wasn't gonna have any more fights, and then they signed a deal with Amazon. I mean, I'm just saying there's been a lot of inaccuracies, but people don't care about that when they're wrong. They just care about the few times that they're right. But he said, what I'm saying is, I'm coming from a journalist who's used to have ties with Espinoza, who has said this consistently. I'm rooting for BBC best cards. But yeah. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not an Al Haymon PBC apologist. I'm saying that I don't even really care about the economics, because then that's work that I'm not interested in doing. Because, you know, I don't care if Oscar and Golden Boy are going out of business. As long as they put on good fights, that's all I care about. I don't care if Eddie Hearn and Matchroom are going out of business. As long as they put on good fights, that's all I care about. You know, and it's so funny because people will say, like, even with Turki Alalshikh, right? They're saying, I've seen people say, oh, Al Haymon, they don't want to play ball. They don't want to work with anybody. And Turki Alalshikh, you know. But then when I saw another promoter in Golden Boy, that people were applauding Oscar De La Hoya for not bowing down to Turki Alalshikh. But now he has a partnership with Turki Alalshikh. But when Al Haymon and PBC don't work with Turki Alalshikh, is because they're stubborn and they don't want to work with anybody, number one. Number two, if you're saying that Turki Alalshikh is bringing in money, I don't know. I mean, if somebody's running and bowing down to somebody who has money, and the people and somebody is not doing that, wouldn't you think the people that aren't doing that aren't doing so because they don't need the money? I don't know. People don't think. Maybe I think too much. I don't know, Kendrick. Maybe I think too much. I don't know. But if you're telling me that, it's funny when Canelo doesn't want to work with Turki is because they say Canelo doesn't need him because he's his own boss. Facts. I agree. But when Al Haymon and PBC seemingly don't work with Big Turki Alalshikh, which is not true because they work with Big Turki Alalshikh, because Esau Pitbull Cruz is a PBC fighter, and so is Rayo Valenzuela, and they were featured on the Riyadh card with Israel Madrimov and Terrence Crawford. So they do work with Big Turki. But let's just say hypothetically they don't work with Big Turki like is alleged. Wouldn't you think, similar to Canelo, is because they're their own boss and they don't need the finances of Big Turki Alalshikh? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, maybe I just think too much. I don't know. Is the volume low or just me? The volume's low? Oh, Lord. Thank you for letting me know. Let me fix it. I don't know. I feel like my volume just adjusts by itself. Maybe I be talking low as well, too, because sometimes I be... Thank you for letting me know. Let me turn it up. Let me turn it up. You know the bias is always working. PBC will never get fair. Exactly, and that's my problem. But like I said, listen, I want to like that's why I prefaced it the way I did, because I don't know. You could be right. Maybe it is a money thing. I don't know. But I just don't like whenever a fight's not made or something happens with PBC. It's always a bankrupt thing or a lack of money thing or an insufficient funds thing. Why? When Eddie Hearn's fights fall through, I never hear that it's because of money or lack of money. When Frank Warren fights fall through, or when Anthony Yarde, who's arguably Frank Warren's and Queensberry's biggest fighter, right? One of them, Anthony Yarde is in a contract dispute with Frank Warren. He says he's out of his contract. Frank Warren said he's not. He said he wants to leave. Frank Warren said he can't. I never heard anything about money or him being unhappy. You know, they just say that and then they just sweep it under the rug. But as soon as a PBC fighter leaves PBC, it's because he's unhappy, he's not getting money, and he's not, you know what I'm saying? I think it's just, if people don't see the bias there, whether it's true or not, then I feel like you're kind of blind. It's always a big deal when somebody leaves PBC. People leave promotional companies all the time. That's boxing. Shakur is in the midst of being a free agent right now. I've never heard, oh, Shakur's leaving because Top Rank doesn't have the money to pay him, or because Top Rank is dirty or they're doing shiesty things. Even though Top Rank has not been giving him the fights that he wants, is never, you know, people just say Shakur Stevenson wants to leave because he's unhappy, and that's okay. Or they just say that he wants to leave, he wants a better deal. But if Shakur was leaving PBC, oh my gosh. Can you imagine if Tank left PBC, which is Tank is a bigger fighter on PBC, of course, it makes sense. But, you know, because Top Rank has other stars. They have Teofimo, Lomachenko, Shakur. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not saying it's insignificant, but could you imagine a Shakur level fighter leaving PBC? Oh, they would go crazy. Oh, it's because they're running out of money. Oh, they can't pay him. Oh, they're not able to make their fighters happy. They're not able, you know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different. Eddie always crying broke. Look at the Haney bid. Nah, you're right. My source might be wrong. I've been surprised that they still been putting up the big events. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not questioning your sources or your legitimacy. I'm not saying that it's illegitimate, because they could be right. I'm just saying I just don't pay attention, because every time something happens with PBC, it's like it's always something about them going bankrupt or something like that, or you know what I'm saying. But then if you really pay attention, the same thing happens, you know, Golden Boy. The Golden Boy lost. Can you imagine if PBC lost Canelo? They're saying Canelo's leaving PBC. He hasn't even left yet. He's been leaving for the last 3-4 fights. Canelo can't get, bro. PBC like a ex-girlfriend you can't get rid of that's stalking him. You know what I'm saying? Let them tell it. But Canelo's been leaving PBC for the last 4 or 5 fights. You know, he's still with PBC, even his upcoming fights with PBC. But you know who Canelo did leave? Golden Boy. Oh, okay. He left Golden Boy. Last time I checked, Golden Boy is was in a issue involving money when it comes to ownership or partial ownership with Sugar Shane Mosley. Can you imagine if that was PBC? Come on, bro. Last time I checked, they also had to dispute in regards to B-Hop or allegations of B-Hop potentially leaving Golden Boy. Come on, bro. But when somebody leaves PBC, it's because they're broke. We just got to be fair, man. Rick Glazer has been predicting the end of PBC for years. Exactly. So I'm not saying, so like I said, so to summarize everything I'm saying is that I'm not saying that these sources are wrong. I'm not saying that Rick Glazer, he could be right sometimes, but there's been a lot of times where he was wrong. So we gotta not only these days, not only question the information that we're receiving, but we got to question the presenter of said information, because a lot of times they have ulterior motives and hidden agendas that they're not disclosing. But if you listen closely enough, they disclose it. That man, even if PBC does go bankrupt tomorrow, Rick Glazer is a hater, bro. That every time I see him talking, it's hate. So he could be right, but he's definitely a hater. Like Cable being dead wasn't the actual issue, right? Remember they said PBC made Showtime. Yes, go bankrupt, right? Glazer isn't a trust. Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest point I'm saying. He's a pro Top Rank and Golden Boy. Exactly. So I remember I was, just to change the subject a little bit, not really change the subject, but to give another example. It was like when I was talking about Oscar De La Hoya yesterday. Did the volume get better, by the way? My sources have got, hey, that's what's up, man. Hey, don't release your sources, Larry. Don't release your sources, bro. You never know, man. Keep your sources, bro. Because like I said, I'm not questioning your source. I'm not saying anybody's right. I'm just saying it's unfair coverage. He claims Al Heyman ripped him off. But it's like I was talking about with Oscar De La Hoya, right? And Al Heyman could be ripping people off. I'm not. But let's be fair. Canelo claims that Oscar ripped him off, right? Devin Haney claimed that Eddie Hearn did him dirty with that lack of a bid for the Sandor Martin fight. So promoters get accused of a lot of stuff all the time. That's the name of the business, you know, to a certain extent. I'm pretty sure they all do their shady stuff. You know, not just Eddie Hearn, and not just Al Heyman, not just Bob Arum, not just this person, that person. But my point, what I was gonna say is like when Oscar De La Hoya discusses Canelo, and he says stuff like Canelo. Remember he asked him how's that meat? Pause. Hey yo, he asked him how was the meat or something like that because he was
what?
He was referencing the clenbuterol that he had going against Triple G some years back. But Ryan Garcia cheated and he didn't say anything about that. You know why? Because that's his fighter. So I'm saying is that he's gonna knock Canelo because Canelo's not with him. So you got to consider the source. He's right that Canelo cheated, but he's wrong trying to imply or give the implication or the impression that he cares about people cheating, because he's not there on a campaign to denounce cheaters for the betterment of the sport. He's just there denouncing a cheater because he's not in good standings with said cheater in Canelo Alvarez. But the guy he's in with good standings with, Ryan Garcia, he's not gangbanging against cheating. In fact, he's making excuses for cheating and giving possibilities as how he accidentally cheated when Ryan Garcia never proved it was an accident. Canelo went to court and proved it was an accident, unintentional. So you see what I'm saying? So we gotta question. So while he is right, he's kind of wrong too, because he's not keeping it consistent. PBC is feeding Glacier false information to make him look like a fool. That's possibly true too. Shout out to them if that's true. But like I said, I'm not. I don't want to get into it. I'm not like pro PBC or an apologist for PBC, but I am pro fair, even, and equal disbursement of news. You know what I'm saying? I am all the way pro reporting news with unbiased and with integrity. I'm not going to be heavy or hard on PBC because I don't like them, or easy on Matchroom because I like them, or hard on Top Rank because I don't like them. But I will tell the truth, you know. And the truth is, Top Rank trash. No, I'm just playing. Ty in the building. What's good, brethren? Nah, Top Rank be robbing they fighters. Top Rank be having the most robberies. But yeah, but like I said, all said, you could be right, Sonny, because I don't know. I mean, I called you Sonny, like Sonny Liston. My bad, Larry. You could be right, Larry Liston. So I'm not questioning your sources. I'm just questioning the idea of every time something bad happens or unfortunate happens, it's always some type of something else. Oh man, what's your thoughts on Ricardo El Finito Lopez? Ricardo, let me look him. Ricardo Lopez. You might have found one I'm not too familiar with. Ricardo Lopez. That's a young bull, right? Let me look him up. Oh, El Finito. Yeah, old school joy. Yeah, I remember. Bro, I'm tripping. That's the guy that was undefeated, right? Yeah, he's considered one of the best Mexican fighters. Yeah, I'm tripping. I thought, you know who I was thinking of? I was thinking of Ricardo Torres. Or Richard Torres. the heavyweight. I'm like, that dude is like a young bull. Ricardo Lowe, that's kind of before my time, before I started watching boxing. But yeah, I'm familiar with him. What 50 and 0, 51 and 0, something like that. And no losses, you know, 1 draw or 2 draws, something like that. I think 1 draw. Yeah, that's kind of before my time though, man. But so I saw like highlights and stuff. I don't really know too many people that he's like his record like that, but I definitely think he's a beast though. I respect all the fighters that, you know, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard. I never watched their fights in real time. Same with Ricardo Lopez, but so I don't really have. I think he should be considered as one of the best though. But it's just you got to question when it comes to somebody like him. Then you got to do your research and see who they fought, right? And yeah, so I don't really know much about what's. I know if I'm not mistaken, I believe I've heard like Oscar call him the best Mexican fighter ever, and I think I've heard some others. You know, like I'm more familiar with Salvador Sanchez. I think Salvador Sanchez, he was like, I think he was only like 22-0 or 23-0, but he, you know, but he was a beast, and he was only 23 when he passed away due to a car accident. So I like him, but and this is no disrespect to Ricardo Lopez. But give me Canelo, man. If we talk about just Mexican fighters, I like Juan Manuel Marquez. That's more my time. And Canelo Alvarez, man. I like Canelo. Doc messed around and got that bill. Nah, bro. I was reading a comment on one of my videos, man. That was a good question. I was like, who the heck is Ricardo? I'm thinking of Richard Torres. I don't know why. I was like Richard Torres? Ricardo Lopez. I was like, nah. I confused him with Richard Torres. I was like, that's the heavyweight. But yeah, Ricardo Lopez. I'm glad I looked him up. Let's look up his his stuff and pull up yeah, it's like, and you know, so his last fight was in 2001, KO of Zolani Patello. But yeah, like this is like before my time, as far as not that I'm too young to watch it, but that's just like before my time when I got into like these smaller weights. I wasn't watching when I started watching, like, dang, I didn't even know he was this small. 107? Oh, he's like minimum weight. Yeah, he's like, I didn't know he was that small. I thought he was like featherweight. Oh yeah, I definitely, yeah. See, I'm not gonna lie. I started watching, so I was always into boxing since I was, let's say, I don't know, I'll say like around Mike Tyson, definitely around Roy Jones. That's when I got into it. But I didn't start paying attention to the smaller weights, as I'll consider myself more of a casual back then. I said I started paying attention to the smaller weights around the time with Nonito Donaire, you know, Filipino Flash, Guillermo Rigondeaux, and Lomachenko and stuff like that. That's when I really started paying attention to the smaller weights. Because even with Pacquiao, he sparked my interest, like watching Pacquiao and Marquez. But I didn't initially see Pacquiao and Eric Morales, the first one. You know, I went back and watched those retroactively. So yeah, that's when I really started getting into the smaller weights. So this was like before my time that I was into the smaller weights. But definitely heard of him. Definitely respect him. You got to respect him, man. But I can't say he was the best type stuff. What about you, Oscar? You think he's the best? Chavez, Sanchez, Olivares, Morales, Marquez, my top 5 Mexicans of all time. I don't know. He's better fighter than what he's given credit for. Who? Salvador Sanchez? Or are you talking about El Finito? So, I mean, there's a lot of fighters, right? So naturally, some people are going to get overlooked. Like Blood Raven just said, Chavez, Julio Cesar Chavez, Salvador Sanchez, Olivares, Eric Morales, Marquez are his top 5 Mexicans of all time. That's a great list. But I will say this too. I don't really think of, like, if I broke it down due to nationality and culture and ethnicity and complexion or color, then my lists would be different. I don't really think about it like that. So I can't really give you my top 5 Mexicans of all time. I mean, I could, but I would have to think about it. It's like even black fighters. I can't really give you my top 5 Black American fighters or my top 5 Australian fighters. When I think of it, I just think of it as a whole. But I definitely would have Canelo. I know people talk trash about me, but I definitely have Cinnamon on there. I definitely have Juan Manuel Marquez on there because he's before Cinnamon, he was my favorite Mexican fighter. If I had to pick one, I definitely had JCC on there. So yeah, I don't know. And to be fair, to America, to do your top 5 American fighters would probably be the hardest anyway, because you know America's a melting pot, right? So if you're just talking about American, that includes African American, Hispanic American, European American. So that's harder because when you think about your top 5 Americans, you got to think of Floyd, who's black, a black American. Then you got to think about Oscar, who's Hispanic American. And if you could break it down further, you could say Mexican American, right? So he's Mexican American. Then what about, I know in boxing we separate Puerto Rico and America, right? But Puerto Rico is technically American because it's an unincorporated territory. It's still a territory, even though it's an unincorporated territory. It's still a territory. So whether you got to wonder, do you think of Puerto Rico as its own nation, or you include it in America? I don't know. Depends on who you're asking, I guess. Mayweather's a number 1 Mexican fighter.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Ricardo. Yeah, Ricardo doesn't get enough credit. Yeah, he's 51-0. Of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't get enough credit. Boxing wise, to me, Lopez is the best. Yeah, man, those smaller fighters, man, you know, they have a lot of technique, right? But yeah, I need to go back and watch more Ricardo Lopez, Oscar. So I definitely know him. I've seen a couple of his fights retroactively and stuff like that. But I don't know him enough to say. Like, for example, I wouldn't put him over Julio Cesar Chavez. Maybe I should, but I wouldn't, because I'm more familiar with Julio Cesar Chavez. Not necessarily a reflection that he's better or worse. It's just that I'm more familiar with Julio Cesar Chavez. I'm more familiar with Canelo, so I wouldn't put him over those two. So I would have to tighten up on my boxing historian game to make an accurate and fair assessment on Ricardo Lopez. But I definitely think he's one of the greats because he's 51-0. It's just like, as much trash as I talk about Calzaghe, he's still 46-0. I like him. Do I think he's one of the greatest? No. But do I think he should be considered as one of the greats? Yeah, he should be up there. But definitely not as the greatest or in the GOAT conversation. Nah. He deserved to be pound for pound based off his skills and ring presence, but due to his division and opposition, people tend to look over him. Yeah, I mean, but that's fair. People say that's not fair. That is fair. Because when you're talking about the cream of the crop, you have to start nitpicking and bring out your microscope and see what the difference is. Okay, we got to look at your level of opposition, your caliber opponent, when you fought them, how dominant was a victory, or how close was a loss. So you have to factor in these things. I don't think that's out of bounds. Now, if you're factoring those things to say that they're great, then that's stupid. You know, you can't question their greatness because he's 51-0. You can't question his greatness. His 51-0 is enough to say that he's great, to indicate that he's great. But where he's at on the greatest, that's when you have to nitpick. It's a shallow pool. It's a small quantity of people that could be considered for that. You mean Floyd was Mexico's number 1 op? Nah, she said it right. Floyd Mayweather was number 1 Mexican fighter. That's what people say. It's funny as heck. Did you ever see Carbajal versus Gonzalez? Did I? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I saw that one, Blood Raven. Well, was that let's look it up. Cause I did hold on. I ain't see all the fights. I'm not sure if I seen that one. That's an old school job. I might need to watch that. I need to watch that. Let's see.
The Bush guy, cold and smooth.
I'll tell you right now if I've seen it. I don't think so, though. Off the top of my head, I don't think so. So you just gave me something to watch. Carbajal versus Gonzalez. Nah, I never seen this one. Never seen it. No, sir. That was a good one. I should watch that, Raven. That must have been a legendary fight. I've probably seen highlights, but I've never seen that fight. One of the best trilogies of all time. Yeah, I got to check it out. Appreciate it, bro. Nah, I never seen that one. I'm sure I've seen highlights. Definitely heard of Carbajal, Michael Carbajal, right? And Roberto Gonzalez? Humberto Gonzalez. Yeah, I got to check that out. I appreciate it, man. Y'all be putting me on game, man. Chat, man. It's 10:30. Need to get some food in my system. Don't forget to like the video as well, though. But yeah, I gotta check that out. Carbahol. Let me write that down on my phone. It says a trilogy too. The last trilogy, of course, the most recent trilogy I saw was, of course, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. But you know, I used to like the Pacquiao's and Marquez, even though they fought 4 times, right? I like Eric Morales and MAB, Marco Antonio Barrera, the babyface assassin. But no, I haven't seen Carbajal and Gonzalez. Listen, life is temporary. So when life is good, make sure you enjoy and receive it fully. And when life is not so good, remember that it will not last forever and better days are on the way. Amen. Let me read that. My mom just sent me a message. So it says that every situation in life is temporary. So when life is good, make sure you enjoy and receive it fully. And when life is not so good, remember that it will not last forever and better days are on the way. Amen. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Shout out to Queen Latifah. Never not do something because of fear, y'all. Never not pursue your dreams because of fear. Fear can be used as an acronym as false evidence appearing real. Remember that. A lot of things that we fear, that we're afraid of, will most likely never happen. So never let nothing that potentially will never happen stop you from pursuing your dreams and being happy. Happy Thursday. Every day is a good day. There is something to learn, care, and celebrate. Have a beautiful day. Amen. Shout out to my mama. My mama just texted me, y'all. Better trilogy, Barella vs. Mountain. Ooh, that's a good one. I like, you can't, Pac-Man and Morales. For me, that put Pac-Man on the map. But not saying the trilogy, but those fights. I think the first fight I saw of Pac-Man was him versus Morales. I got to go with Barrera and Morales, though. Can you bring him up to the... Hey, yo. Yo, Ty, bro. What was that? That's a very hard one, Blood Raven. But, yeah, that's a hard one, Blood. But I'm going with Morales and Barrera. Yeah, that's not a knock on him. He's often overlooked by the sheer volume of more prominent names and the more cared about division. Right. If he fought today, Bob would not let us forget his name. Facts. Yo, my boy Ty got rid of that message. He exposed himself. Hey man. Yo, my boy Ty almost let out some confidential info, boy. They was gonna sue you off the NDA that you signed. Who do you have, Oscar? Who do you have, Blood? Who do you have, Kendrick? Who do you have? That's funny. My mom just texted me too. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to all the good mamas out there, man. Fire. Big salute to all the good parents. You know, all those demonstrating good paternity, but specifically the maternity. You know, the mothers, man. Big salute to the mothers, man. Never abandoning the maternal instincts. Shout to the good fathers. You know, paternity is dope too. One time for the fathers, man. Wrong phone. That's the other doctor. I already know. You good, bro? I disregarded it, man. I'll just put you on blast. I'll mess with you, bro. Shout out to my boy Ty. Yeah, man. So I think I covered all the topics I wanted to discuss, man. Anybody want to join the Discord? You're always welcome to join the Discord so we could talk. Anybody want to join up? I'll pull you up on here. I feel like people be scared or hesitant to talk to me. They think I'm gonna say something crazy or mean or something, but nah. We have good conversations. I'm trying to get the link right now to drop it, man. So please, sometimes my YouTube, the notifications on YouTube aren't good. So please join the Discord. You get notifications every time I go live, every time I drop a video, and also that's how you get access to the chat, so you could get pulled up. We can have a discussion in live in real time. You feel me? Man, good looking now, bro. Shout out to my boy Clone, man. I got me too. I got Barrera Morales as well. Facts. Big shout out to my pops for coming back with the. Hey yo. Yeah, shout out to moms and pops, man. Both doing their thing, man. I gotta go with Pac and Marquez because it's spectacular knockout. Oh no, he didn't ask. He said Morales. He didn't say Pac and Marquez blood. He said Morales and Pac. He said Morales and Pac. Yeah, because I would have went with Morales, and remember they fought 4 times though. I would have went with Pacquiao Morales. I mean, I would have went with Pacquiao and Marquez over both of them too, but he didn't include Marquez and Pacquiao. He said Barrera Morales and Pacquiao Morales trilogies. I got to go with Morales and Barrera. But yeah, if you include Pacquiao and Marquez, I'm going with Pacquiao and Marquez. That was, to me, that was the best. Those are some of the best fights that were trilogies or more. I got Barrera versus Morales, but a fight that could have been a better trilogy was Marquez versus Barrera. Oh man, yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been nice. He said, "Yeah, Barrera Morales." Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, but if we included all of them, shoot, I think that Pacquiao and Marquez, their fights were. Sometimes I feel like y'all can hear me because I lean back from the mic too. But does it sound better though? Because I don't want to be too loud, but I definitely don't want to be too quiet. And sometimes I don't want to keep raising my voice so y'all can hear me either. Mess around and we do 2 shows a day, so I can't mess around and be out of breath. I mean lose my voice. That'd be terrible. And we do. Those of you new to the channel, we do two shows per day.
Not today, is it? Mighty Patch Pimple Patches.
We do 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So I appreciate y'all in the stream. Don't forget to like the video as well. I mean lose my voice. That'd be terrible. It's fine. Appreciate it, Kendrick. Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Some people say Barrera beat Marquez. I gotta watch it again as well. Bro, that's the thing. That's how you know you're watching a quality fight, when it has a lot of replay value, right? Some people say a lot of things, man. Some people say a lot of things though, you know. Sometimes, like, what do you think about Floyd and do you think that Floyd and Oscar was close? I thought it was a close fight. That's the wrong question. Let me rephrase that. Do you think Oscar won? I thought it was a close fight, but I thought Floyd clearly won. Excuse me. Sometimes I think people exaggerate how close fights are. Like I said, once again, people say robbery too loosely. Hell, if you want me to be honest, I think Maidana versus Mayweather was closer than Floyd versus De La Hoya. I think, not saying that Maidana is better than De La Hoya. Hell no. De La Hoya is better. Way better. But how they fought Floyd, Maidana fought Floyd better. It was more competitive against Floyd. What the heck? Again, when I drop something, that it just disappears. Whatever, I guess I'll find it later. There you go. What the heck? It was way closer. Yeah, I agree. What was your score for the Virgil Ortiz fight? Oscar won is if we count facts. If we counted with punch, my bad. I thought you said Victor. He said, "What was your score for the Boachuk and Virgil Ortiz fight?" Man, that fight, I don't remember what my score was. No, I didn't score that fight, right, Kendrick? I think that's a fight that I didn't score, and that's why I don't think it was a robbery. Because I was going off of straight emotion, right? So I was like, man, I think it could have been a draw. And that was just my impulsive, I always score fights. But you know what I said? I said, man, I'm not scoring this fight because I just want to enjoy it because I think it's going to be fight of the year. And I think it's going to end in a late knockout. Granted that Virgil Ortiz had 100% KO rate and Serhii Boachuk had like a 95 or 94% KO rate. And I was wrong. But, with the 2 knockdowns by Boachuk in the first round and the 8th round, I believe, I thought, man, it was a close fight. But I thought Virgil Ortiz, so I didn't score it like I usually write it down, but I score it as the rounds are going. Like, I'll be like, okay, bet 10-9 Boachuk, 10-9 Virgil, 10-8 Boachuk, 10-8 Boachuk, 10-8 Virgil Ortiz type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say it, but I usually write it down. I didn't write it down that time, so I don't remember. Yeah, we didn't score it because it was too wild. Yeah. What was your score for it, though? Adrian Villarreal, my boy Adrian in the building. What's good, Adrian? Yeah, so I did, but I wasn't mad at the result. I thought I would have been more satisfied with the draw, but I do remember saying Virgil Ortiz won more rounds. Now it'll be how many more rounds did he win to make that even? Because Serhii Boachuk, he had to get those two knockdowns offset. But yeah, I was cool. I don't think it was a robbery. I was cool with Virgil Ortiz winning because I thought it was a draw. Meaning a draw. I thought it honestly could have went either way. Fun fact, Barrera wasn't recognized in Mexico because he didn't sign with the promotion in Mexico. Yeah, another fun fact, Canelo don't like Marquez or Barrera. Canelo don't let him in his press conferences. Yo, Canelo a boss, bro. Whether you like him or not, man, send him in run things, man. Send him in, don't be playing, boy. He don't like you, you up out of there. He said, I'm not going. Oh, babyface assassin there? Marquez there? I'm not going. No, matter of fact, I'm going. They not going. They not going. I was about to say that Maidana versus Mayweather was super close. Yep. I even had Maidana winning, but could have went the other way. Yeah, I'm not mad. Bro, that first fight was close, man. That first fight was close, man. I know whoever bet on Mayweather was nervous. That was a close fight, man. Excuse me. That's crazy that you were just about to say that too, Adrian. That's funny. And no disrespect to Oscar, though. Oscar's a good fighter, but like I don't mind Oscar feeling like he won. But if you watch that fight, I don't mind Oscar, like, bro, you get through it, you get through the fight, and you feel like you were landing the more significant punches. Yeah, Oscar could feel like he won. I'm not mad at that. But when people who are watching objectively think that Oscar won, I think you're crazy. Like Kendrick said, Oscar won if you're counting whiffed punches. If you're counting punches that missed, yeah, he won. But if you really watch that fight, especially when they show the replays, you can see it. It was still it wasn't no wash. He didn't wash Oscar like he washed Canelo, because Canelo was not seasoned, and Oscar was seasoned at that point, so he's not gonna wash him like that. But he definitely beat him definitively. But it was still a close fight. It was a competitive fight, close fight, but it wasn't. I don't think anybody in their right mind had Oscar winning. Oscar knows he ain't winning. off of that Shannon Sharp interview, right? Shannon Sharp. Everybody that said Oscar won, go watch Shannon Sharp. Go watch Oscar's video interview on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay. He basically admits what I just said, that he felt like he won in the ring. He said, no, I still feel like I won in that moment. He said, but I was trying to convince myself that I won because I didn't get knocked out. I didn't get really hurt besides my ego or something like that. People forget that boxing, you don't necessarily have to hurt somebody to win. You just got to outpoint them and hit them more times than they hit you. A lot of people thought Oscar won. Yeah, I think a lot of people are wrong. Hey, I'm wrong sometimes too, but sometimes a lot of people are wrong, man. Some people say that, no matter, even though that the victory was overturned, it was changed from a majority decision win to a no contest, and they give you the exact amount in which he tested positive for it, but some people will still say that Ryan Garcia didn't cheat. Cheating, according to in boxing terms, is not about cheating intentionally. It's not about doing it purposefully. It's about it being present, which means that negligence is not a proper excuse. So I'm saying that to say that quantity is not always quality, because there's a large quantity of people saying a lot of stuff that's wrong. You know, that doesn't mean that you don't have to dislike Ryan. It doesn't mean you have to dislike Ryan Garcia or you have to whatever. But I think it's dangerous when people manipulate the truth. If he didn't have PEDs in his system, the decision would never been overturned. He would not be serving a suspension. You know, he's copped a plea. There would be no reason to cop a plea. You know what I'm saying? There'll be no reason to get suspended due to not submitting your supplements. That's just the length of the punishment that he took that reflects the him submitting or not submitting his supplements. The fact that he got fined, not just by his promotional company, but also by the New York State Athletic Commission, let you know that there was something wrong. Oscar fought everybody, bro. Shout out to the Golden Boy. Listening to you this morning got me sending the podiatrist assistant about boxing. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to you, Ty. I appreciate you, brother. Man. He said, I was all in the wrong phone. I was asleep. Oscar fought everybody. Didn't win them all, but always showed. I agree. That's a good point, Adrian. Unlike my boy Cinnamon, I have to give Oscar that distinction. So that's once again when we talk about greats, right? Yeah, Oscar lost a little more, but Oscar fought. You cannot question Oscar about his heart. He fought anybody and everybody, bigger, smaller, anybody can get it. Oscar was the real can man. Like Adrian Broner said, Oscar was a can man. He didn't care if he was Mexican, American, Puerto Rican, African, Jamaican. It didn't matter. Anybody can get it. So shout out to Oscar for that. He fought Sugar Shane Mosley. He fought B-Hop. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez. He fought Floyd. He fought Felix Trinidad. Come on, bro. Fernando Vargas. Come on, bro. The same reason people say Oscar's son is the same reason I feel Ortiz lost. Or won is the same reason I feel Ortiz lost. Ortiz threw more punches, but a lot of them missed, my opinion, though. But you're kind of right, Oscar, because, well, a lot of Ortiz shots missed, yes. But I believe he landed at a higher percentage than Boachuk. So Boachuk threw a lot. I think Boachuk threw more. I remember seeing the copy box, but I don't quite remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But I think Boachuk threw more, but I think Ortiz landed at a higher percentage. And I believe he outlanded him too. Not just at a higher percentage, but also outlanded him from a sheer quantity as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel you, though. Like I said, I don't think there's any wrong answer in that, because I personally would have been more satisfied with a draw. Hey, take care, Kendrick. Appreciate you coming through, brethren. Enjoy your meeting, man. Try to enjoy your meeting. He said Oscar was coming to get that check. Who cares about missed punches? That doesn't count against you. That's true. It doesn't count against you, but if you get encountered on those missed punches, and if you looking like a bar fighter because of your missed punches, I think it does count against you. But you're right, on a scorecard, nah, it doesn't count against you. But I think it is important to distinguish between accuracy, right? So the percentages, which involves missed punches, it demonstrates a more accurate puncher, right? Because if you miss some punches and hit some punches, then that percentage between those will let you know who's a more accurate puncher. And I think that is something you can get judged off of: your effectiveness in the punches and your accuracy with the punches. Yeah, I think that is something that could be. So you're right, it's not directly correlated to a meaningful stat, but indirectly through something else like punch percentage, and which reflects accuracy and precision, in a way, precision, but mostly accuracy. Then I think missed punches mean something. Do you trust copy box? No. Absolutely not. You know, I be watching the fight and then I go back and look at copy box and I be like, bullshit. You're right, Raven. No, you're right, Blood. Definitely not. But we got to go off something, you know. While I don't fully trust it, I do think it's appropriate to consider it. You know what I'm saying? I do think it's an appropriate and an important point of reference Because sometimes, yes, CompuBox can be deceiving. A lot of times it's deceiving. And a lot of times it's just flat out wrong. But sometimes eyes could be deceiving as well. Looks could be deceiving, right? You know that famous term, looks could be deceiving. Your eyes could be deceiving too, you know. Sometimes I see, like, I was just in a discussion, not really in a discussion, but I had to correct somebody, and I didn't get in an argument because whenever you know, I try my best not to engage in a discussion with somebody who's just delusional or they just feel like they're right all the time, which is okay because it's one thing to give reasons to why you feel that you're right, but another thing to not even accept when you're wrong or not even consider other people's opinions. But this guy said that Virgil Ortiz was knocked down. And I said, no, I don't think, I think that was the first time he was knocked down by Sergey Boachuk. But I was like, you know, I could be mistaken. And he was like, no, he got knocked down by Kavalauskas. And I said, no, sir. I said, bro, if you're talking about what happened in the second round, I even remember what he was talking about. I was like, that wasn't knockdown. He's like, yes, it was knockdown. There was nothing there. I said, bro, you could clearly see it was a slip. It was a slip. But in real time, it looked like a knockdown. But the referee called that one effectively and appropriately. But then look at when the ref called... Dang, what was that? We just watched it yesterday too, where the ref called it a slip against Arthur Abraham when he knocked down Andre Durrell, and the ref called it a slip. That was a clear knockdown. So, my point is that sometimes you do get it wrong, and sometimes our looks are deceiving. Because I've seen stuff where I thought it was a knockdown, and I watched it in slow motion. I was like, oh, that was a slip, or I thought it was a slip, and I was like, oh no, that's a knockdown. So I gotta give people some leeway as well. I don't trust CompuBox on events when them punches are tallied with a hand clicker. Yeah, I feel that. But chat, man, I'm about to go get some food, man. Hand clicker ancient. Yeah, facts. But let's be fair too, Blood and Ty. We have to admit that that's hard. That's a hard thing to. Unless we have the fighters coming in with those stuff that's like motion detection, you know what I'm saying? On the video games, you see what they be in the suits and the motion detection technology. Unless we gonna put that on the boxer's full body, have them look like some boxing in the Jetsons, you know, in the future, then it's gonna be hard to determine, you know, CompuBox stats. That's hard, man. We got to be fair too. That's not an easy task, you know, especially with this when it's a high action, high intensity, large volume of punches being thrown, and there's and you're fighting against a fighter that has a high level of evasion, you know, especially when they're evading in the pocket with the Philly shell and the head movement like Canelo, or the Philly shell like Floyd, or even the distance judging, the distance manipulation of like a Shakur Stevenson. It's tough to accurately assess what hits and what misses. So I gotta give him that too. I did feel Ortiz did slip. Of course, there's no feeling Blood, but let's pull it up right now. I'm telling you, Ortiz slipped, bro. Cause at first when I saw it too, I was like, oh, he got caught. But no, bro. I went back and looked, and I looked again, and then I looked when the dude. I even second guessed myself, then looked again. I'm gonna show you right here. I'm gonna pull. Hopefully, I don't get copyrighted. I don't think I will, because I'm gonna have the volume off, and I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have the volume off, but look, I'm just gonna show a piece of it. Look at this. Okay, come on, you gotta show it now. You see? It looked like he might have got hit. If you look at Kavalauskas' arms, he doesn't throw nothing. Come on, bro. And then watch. If you think that's a lie, that's fast, right? I think they show another angle of it. They don't show another angle? I thought they showed another angle. What? Here you go, right here. Maybe not. Yeah, GG's for this. GG's for this one. Okay, here you go. Come on, bro. Where did he get hit at, bro? Come on, bro. That's a slip, bro.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit, 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 bullshit!
That's funny. I said it's a slip, and then I came back and said bullshit. Bullshit. On them cheap cars, they pull that John out. Definitely hard to, you can't even enjoy the fight. Yeah, if it's your job. Yeah, you can't even enjoy the fight. Facts. But chat, man, don't forget to like the video, man. But most importantly, remember with God, we can do anything. Without God, we are nothing, man. You know, I'm about to go ahead and get up out of here. Those of you new to the stream, I stream every Monday through Friday. I really stream every day, but Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. for the morning show, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the evening show. And then I provide live boxing commentary for all the boxing fights, whether it's on Tuesday in Japan or Wednesday in Jamaica or Sunday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon in England. You know, we're live. You know, even if it's in like Philippines in the early morning, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, it don't matter. We live. So please come rock with us. You know what I'm saying? And be prepared. Hopefully we'll catch you in the second show later on today. And also don't forget to check out the videos too, man. We drop videos on the daily as well, man. So yeah, we out here, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me as always, man. Y'all be easy, take care of yourselves, and remember, like I said, most importantly, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.